All right. Could be good. Could be good. Be live. Let's pull up the chat. I now have 3 monitors. I have over here I can watch my ugly mug as I record. And then I have over here I can have the chat so I don't have to switch between them. There we go. I'm doing better. And this will be the last the last stream in this fucking thing. How is everybody? How is everyone tonight? I wasn't expecting a response this quickly from Montegraph and his attorney to Rekieta's motion to dismiss. Here we are. Uh, I was reading it. I got home from work at like 5:15 ish. Sat down. Was like, oh man, I'm a little tired. Let's go through a couple things. So I'm seeing what's new with Ralph, and I'm like, yeah, let's go check Nick's. Let's go check the lawsuit from Nick. It's about the time when, closed business should be updating, and I go and I see, oh, there's a holy shit. There's actually 3 things that were put in. Sorry, I need to fix the cable for my microphone. So I'm like, oh, it should be it should be updated most likely. So I go and check, and there's 3 things on there. I'm like, the fuck? So I go and download them. Okay, okay. And I'm actually really quickly gonna pull this up. I'm gonna pull this up because I kind of want to give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about. So this is the Michigan court website. Okay. And it tells you case event, case I date, what happened, and we got memorandum, okay, filed today, or at least entered today. Then you have an affidavit from the plaintiff. Interesting. Haven't had an affidavit from the plaintiff yet. An affidavit of attorney. Don't know why. We'll find out. And then I'm reading over the memorandum, and I'm like, this actually looks kind of competent. Okay, cool. That's really good. And I'm not getting everything, obviously. Obviously, I am not an attorney, so I'm reading everything and going, okay, kind of cool, kind of cool. I decided to take a look at the affidavits. And holy fucking shit, did Montegraph, holy shit. I raise your hand if you were expecting Montegraph to fuck up. Leave your hand up if you were expecting to fuck up this early. I wasn't. I knew he'd fuck up. I knew he was fucking up. I didn't expect him to fuck up like this. Not this early, at least. And we're going to go into the affidavits first because that is where, ladies and gentlemen, the majority of the good shit comes out. And I leaked this part on Twitter. Okay. I leaked this part on Twitter. Let's get right into it. Affidavit of Steve Quest Montegraph. We have an affidavit. This means that he is saying under penalty of perjury, this is all true. Your affiant, Steve Quest, does hereby state, allege, and affirm. I am your affiant, Steve Quest, and the plaintiff in the matter before the court herein. I offer this affidavit in support of my lawsuit against defendant Nicholas Rekieta for damage. Notice how he says defendant Nicholas Rekieta, doesn't say anything about Rekieta Law LLC. Defendant Nicholas Rekieta for damages and as part of my and as part of my opposition to the motion for summary judgment and dismissal. I have legally changed my name to Steve Quest because he has a conviction record. He has a felony record under his previous name that people found out about. Doesn't help him. Okay? He has felony convictions. I don't remember what it was for. I think it was like stalking or something like that. I can't remember. Don't quote me on that. But it was something Yeah, you just need to know his record. I am now 59 years of age and was a resident of the state of Colorado, city of Lakewood, Colorado. How is in the ever? I moved to Illinois on June 2nd, 2020 for my safety. Really? You moved to Illinois in 2020? Isn't that an interesting turn of events, ladies and gentlemen? Because if you remember, really quickly, I'm gonna do this. I can pull up my Twitters. I can pull up my Twitter. You can see what I'm about to tell you. Hey, ready? Holy shit, Montegraph has lied to the court and admitted to having done so. He willingly lied to the court. On the left is from his complaint. Now, you can't see all of it, it kind of cuts off. The plaintiff, Steve Quest, is an entertainer, artist, and video producer who resides in the state of Colorado. Resides in the state of Colorado. He's living in Colorado, according to the complaint. But then Nick files a motion to dismiss citing Colorado law. All of a sudden, Steve Quest comes out and says, I'm not actually a resident of Colorado. I live in Illinois and have for about 2 years. Fucking really? Yeah, you now live in Illinois? Fucking really? Imagine being the judge in this case. You have an affidavit in front of you where the plaintiff himself is admitting, yes, I willingly lied to the court, not once, but I believe 3 times, because he had the initial complaint, he had the amended complaint, both of which he says he's a resident of Colorado. But I believe in the motion for a default judgment against Rekieta, he said the exact same thing. In fact, you know what? I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to pull it up to find out if that was the case. Let's see. Boom. Other viewers and guests and questions. In recent years, plaintiff Steve Quest, a Colorado based artist and video producer. Oh no. Oh no. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 times in the span of a month, Steve Quest, the plaintiff in this court, in this complaint, lied to the court. Now, some people are going to say, well, that's not very important. It absolutely is. Because the motion to dismiss was based on what Steve Quest had said, that he was a resident, he lived in the state of Colorado. And so Randazza and Rekieta brought a motion to dismiss based on Colorado law. Based on Colorado law, they filed their motion to dismiss. And now they're coming up with this bullshit. And I guarantee you, now the question becomes, do they get a chance to respond? Or do they get a chance to pull it based on this new information and file a new one? Alternatively, do they wait for the judge to make a determination, say Colorado law doesn't apply here, and then they get another kick at the cat where if there are any defects that the judge notes in the order, do they get another kick at the cat? They should. Will they? Don't know. Don't know. If you think Randazza isn't going to take note of that and probably file a motion for lying to the court, you got another thing coming. I've been pretty good about calling out the issues that I see. I noted the mentioning that Nick is known for hyperbole and comedy and how they would hammer that. I mentioned that they would that they would mention that the website or the channel is under the Rekieta Media LLC, not the law firm itself. They did. I mentioned when other people were saying, oh, he didn't hire Randazza, he's a fucking liar, he's bullshitting. I said, well, you know what? Especially the one guy who's supposed to be an attorney. Do you know, did you look at Randazza and figure out where he's licensed to practice? Well, he's not licensed to practice in Minnesota. Wouldn't he have to be pro-hocked in? And that's not an overnight thing. You have to go find a local counsel to do that and yada, yada, yada. And I was right. The statements I have made, the looking into the fucking future, the predictions I have had, I'm 3 for 3. Will I be 4 for fucking 4? I feel very confident right now that I'm about to be 4 for 4 on this one. Not a good look. It is not a good fucking look, ladies and gentlemen, to be admitting to the court that you have lied to the court. You have lied in 3 separate instances minimum. You have done it for over a month, which, by the way, if we look at the motion for default judgment, you could make multiple arguments that Schneider lied multiple times in that as well. You don't want to be in this position, ladies and gentlemen. You do not want to be in a position where the judge is now going, you have consistently lied to me. You have lied to me in every motion you have filed. And it's not even a live omission. You straight up said you live someplace you don't. If I was the judge, I would be absolutely fucking livid that I was being lied to by the plaintiff in this case. I'd be absolutely fucking livid. And if Randazza moves for sanctions, which I think he will, you know what some of the sanctions could be? Dismissing the case outright. Do I think that'll happen? No, I don't think the court, if the court doesn't throw it out for under anti-SLAPP, then the question then becomes, will the judge throw it out entirely for lying to them? I don't think it'll happen, but there will be sanctions, I can almost guarantee. I think there are going to be some sanctions against Montegraph for this bullshit. Okay? I think there are absolutely going to be some kind of sanctions against Montegraph and his attorney. Because do you think the attorney didn't know he lives in Illinois? Which, by the way, we're going to get into that in a second. Go back to this affidavit. Defendant Rekieta and his followers, fans, and devotees harassed me. I continue to carry a Colorado driver's license, which does not expire until 2024, and I have not notified the state of Illinois I now live in Illinois. Oh. There's another problem for Steve. I did not believe my actual residence was important for the lawsuit I filed against defendants. Really? Where you live isn't important? Really? Until I was notified by my lawyer that defendants have made an issue as part of their motion to dismiss. Now, lawyers have what's called a duty of candor to the court, to be upfront to the court about important things, to be honest with the court. Saying to the court, my my client lives here knowing full well he doesn't live there. Holy shit, the balls on this motherfucker. Again, some people are probably going to say this probably isn't going to matter. Some people are probably going to say, you know what? It's not that bad. It absolutely is bad. You are lying to the fucking court as the plaintiff. It's immaterial. The reason he can't even claim, oopsie daisy, I made a boo-boo. I would like to correct the record. Remember, they were given a chance to amend their complaint, and that amended complaint also said the exact same thing. That was willful. That was deliberate. And a judge is going to fucking look at that and go, what in the good goddamn motherfuck were you thinking? And the judge is going to be absolutely livid, as I think it's she, as she should be. Now he has to come out and say, yeah, I lied to you. What you going to do about it, bitch? I did not expect him to fuck up like this. I legitimately didn't. Something as basic as this. And remember in the amended complaint, you know what? Bring up the amended complaint because there's a portion of that that I think we should take a look at, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Talk. Complaints. Let's go to this. Plaintiff hereby amends the complaint originally served upon defendants and states that defendants' false, mean-spirited, hurtful words published to others have caused followers and devotees of defendants to search for, find, and then stalk plaintiff, come to his home, follow him in vehicles as plaintiff drove a motor vehicle, then to publish pictures and videos of plaintiff while driving, thus placing plaintiff into a zone of danger of a physical impact, causing fear for his own safety and causing emotional distress requiring care and counseling. Here's a question: if that were the case, why wasn't that brought up that, hey, Steve lives in Illinois? Why didn't Rekieta seem to know that? Why didn't Rekieta know that he lives in Illinois and not Colorado? Why was everything premised on him living in Colorado? Another lie. Now, this isn't going to be a lie that you can actually point to like you can with the with the where he lives. But now I'd be thinking as a judge, hold on. I'd be thinking about that. But you say you live in Colorado, but now you say you live in Illinois, and you say people found you, and then you say that they followed you. You don't tell us where, you just say to your home. The insinuation being Colorado, by the way, right? The insinuation being this happened in Colorado. Now you're saying you live in Illinois. And you're saying that you didn't think it was important to note that. The defendants don't even make mention of it. Now, the counter to this is, Nick knew this. Hypothetically speaking, Nick knew all of this. And he and Randazza decided to file everything under Colorado law to force Steve Quest to admit that he doesn't live in Colorado and that he lied to the court. Which would be a big brain move. It might be a big brain move to say, yeah, based on everything he said, we're moving for this. Then get him to admit, well, let's back up. I may have fibbed. I may have not been completely, entirely truthful with the court here. And now he's on record as having lied to the court and pissed the judge off. How happy do you think a judge is going to be? Pretty much guarantee he ain't going to be happy. She's going to be a little upset, a little nettled. I would be if I was the judge. My Colorado address remains in use invalid as it is a personal mailbox I rent from a company with an office at that physical address. That's not how that fucking works. You said you're a resident of Colorado. Not that you have a P.O. box in Colorado. You said that you are a resident, that you live in Colorado, and now you say you live in Illinois. Give me 1 sec. I'm sorry. I'm getting so fucking heated that it's getting warm in this room. I'm turning on the fucking fan. You said that you are a resident of Colorado, not that you have a fucking P.O. box. You said you live there. Congratulations, retard. You played your fucking self. Nick may have been joking when he said that Montegraph is his ADA appointed retard that he has to tard wrangle, right? I'm starting to think it may not be a joke anymore. I'm starting to think that there might have been something behind that claim. There might have been something that Rekieta knew about him. I can't wait to get rid of this chair, by the way. I have a new one coming in tomorrow. It'll be nice. I'm getting shorter, because the pneumatic piston, I've had this chair for a couple of years now, been using it a lot longer than I should be. It's a low quality chair and it's slowly going down. But the new one, it's going to be good. I continue to receive correspondence there, including bills, banking, insurance, and I can even be legally served there. Probably. But it's not your address where you live. But you told the court that's where you live. All of that doesn't fucking matter. What matters is that you told the court you fucking live there. You fucking live there is what you told the court. It doesn't matter if you can get all your fucking gay porn and child porn shit mailed there. That's a joke, by the way. Except the gay porn shit. Pretty sure that's not a joke. Doesn't matter if you get your farmer's almanac, which shows the newest melons for you to fucking rape. No one cares. What matters is what you told the court. And what you told the court is that you are a resident of Colorado. Shut the fuck up with that. That don't matter. Looks really, really fucking bad. It looks really fucking bad. I can do this because I have an agreement with the company. Again, does not fucking matter, you drooling mongoloid. It was a sad day when you crawled out of the fucking abortion bucket, Montegraph. I just want you to fucking know that right now. They know I have been harassed and they have agreed to protect me. I pay for this service. Congratulations. No one cares. I continue treating with a care provider named Karen Steinbeck in Colorado utilizing telehealth. Well, let's go see what Karen Steinbeck does, shall we? I kind of want to see what Karen Steinbeck. What is she? She's a therapist, ladies and gentlemen. She's a therapist. Congratulations. Hey, she is a therapist. Because I was going to laugh if she was a GP or a nurse practitioner. I'm just letting you know I would have fucking laughed at that point. I would have died. There would have been a little bit of Spectre dying. Violating the terms of service of YouTube by dying on air. I set up appointments, usually by phone, and we will have appointments by phone or a video system provided by the clinic. The clinic is called LifeStance, and they have doctors all over the U.S. My medical doctor is Andrew Zasada, who practices in Savoy, Illinois. He works at OSF Healthcare. Cool. Why don't you have a therapist that you can see in person? Speaking from experience, telehealth doesn't mean shit. Doesn't really do anything. I hate to break it to you, it really don't. I own no real estate. Yes, because you're poor. Use a broke bitch. I hold no title or right to a corporation or limited liability company in any state. Cool. I pay rent where I reside, which is a house I share with my girlfriend. Monty's girlfriend, if you are watching this for whatever fucking reason, because Monty is spurging the fuck out, you can do better. You can do better. In recent years, I've suffered health problems. I suffer from asthma and COPD. Yes, you suffer from cope. I don't care what anybody says. That says cope because it's Montegraph. I have not performed construction work for a couple of years. Presently, my sole source of income is from YouTube AdSense and websites I own and maintain. Oh, really? Really? You maintain websites and have YouTube AdSense? Good for you. Good for you. My girlfriend and I reside in Champaign County, state of Illinois. Don't really care. By the way, if he put his address in here, I didn't go through and redact it. I don't care. This is a public record. 6. I have been doing business for over 25 years in the state of Minnesota. Oh, really? You have been? Really? A Minneapolis-based company called Area 51 Services. Why am I not fucking surprised to be a company named that? Hosts my websites and maintains my domain names. I currently own, and Area 51 Services maintains 8 websites, but only 4 are currently active. Area 51 Services provides my IT command, which means they repair, modify, and perform all other computer-related activities. I pay for these services. Well, good for fucking you. By the way, that's going to come back when we go over the actual motion. I learned how to produce videos and work with computers years ago when I worked in the telecommunications industry. I am also a trained photographer and videographer. Facts, not in evidence. In the early 2000s, I began working with other video producers, actors, and technicians in collaborative fashion. Other? Really? In addition to creating art, we would collaborate to create videos that could be marketed to industry and state agencies to be used in marketing and public service announcements. Guarantee you the Umbrella Man is not one of those things. Unless you're talking about, why stranger danger is a necessity. I mean, that could be a thing. That could be a thing. The income I derive from these activities has always been a secondary source of income. My primary source of income for many years, but ending in 2020, before this was through building and construction, drywall, plaster, flooring, and all phases of home remodeling. I discovered defendants on the internet, I believe in 2019, but have never met defendant Rekieta in person. Probably because if you showed up at Nick's house, you wouldn't be leaving except in a body bag. I became acquainted with the defendant Rekieta watching podcasts and participating in online conversations. You spurging out in chats is not you participating in conversation. It's you spurging out in chat. Mr. Rekieta created a website called Rekieta Law and published videos in which he appears. He didn't create. Those are two separate things. Rekieta Law was his law office. I don't think he put any videos on that website. That's another lie. Although, a small one, admittedly. A very small one. By the way, I'm looking over here, and you guys can see it, but you can see like in the background the Minnesota Judicial Branch like icon, right? You guys can see that, like the watermark that's behind the text on this. I can't see that on here. It's kind of trippy. Actually, kind of trippy. Let's see. He publishes them, excuse me, on various hosting sites. These include YouTube, Rumble, and Locals. Initially, my interactions with defendant Rekieta were not negative. I feel like they were. I feel like you specifically say that they were negative in your complaints. In fact, I enjoyed participating in online chats on his podcasts. Again, you spurging out in his chat is not you participating in a conversation, it's you being a literal window licking retard. He presented himself as a knowledgeable and experienced lawyer. He has never done that. Never done that. But who was also approachable, sometimes even irreverent. Yeah, I can see that. Okay, that part I'll give you. I enjoyed the fact he was approachable and did not come off as a stuffy shirt like so many other lawyers I have known. Okay, you clearly have never interacted with Nick because he definitely comes off as that. He was able to provide satisfactory explanation answers to many legal questions. He gave free legal advice. He gave you no legal advice. He gave no legal advice at all, other than consult a fucking attorney. The same legal advice I give, because it's legal advice that can't go wrong. Consult an attorney in your area who practices. Not that hard. That's good advice. It's advice I give to everybody. Things changed when defendant Rekieta, through his online program, falsely accused me of being a pedophile. I believe he had heard such rumors from others. Really? He heard it from others? Like on Kiwi Farms? Like on the multiple websites that have talked about your proclivity with that, with the umbrella band videos that you did, where they were talking about the fact that it definitely looks like you have an unhealthy obsession with children? Not good. Not good. Again, we're going to be saying words that YouTube overlords frown upon. However, these are words that Steve Quest is saying in his public document, and I am just repeating what he says, even if the inflection is mine. Here's a puppet says, "Stop trying to shove your ADA assigned retard on me. You take his ass back right now." Who's my ADA assigned retard? It's not Montegraph. I know that. Is it Preston? Might be Preston. I don't think he's mine. I think he's a. I'm sorry, Ethan Van Sciver, but I'm pretty sure Preston is your ADA assigned retard. He has told his audience that I am a faggot, that I've had sex with a melon. He did. He did. That I suck little boys' cocks. He said he believes you enjoy sucking little boys' cocks. That is a lie. Some dude that goes by Senator Masuda. Who the fuck is that? I don't fucking know who that guy is. I don't know who this guy is. I literally don't. Lieutenant General Space Force, Senator of San Diego. I don't know who this guy is. Looks like a retard though, so you know. I mean, he does look like a retard. I don't think he's my ADA sanctioned retard. I don't think I've been given one yet. I don't have 1,000 subscribers, so maybe he's freelance. Ginger Snap makes a really good point. He might just be a freelance retard. I don't either, and he won't tell me which Nick he's talking about. Like, holy shit, I know like a dozen. Yeah, like Nick Fuentes. Let's see. And I've created a snuff film starring a female child actor. No. Nick, as well as myself, have said the person looked underage like a child. I have never disputed that they were of age. I never have. I said it just looks like they're underage. Remember how last time I mentioned that Australia, they have regulations for pornography where the women have to have minimum cup sizes specifically to curb child pornography or to prevent worry that there might be child pornography involved. Same thing. It's for stuff like this. I understand. Excuse me. And that I am a retard. You are a retard. I understand the term faggot to suggest I am a homosexual. No, it just means you're an annoying person. It means you're really annoying, but also probably homosexual, yes. I understand the term snuff film to describe the murder of a kidnapped child. Murder of pretty much anybody, not just a child. I understand the term retard to be derogatory and an insult to me. Yeah, but what does it really mean? What does it really mean? It means your IQ was room temperature measured in Celsius. That's what it means. I've never had sex with a melon. Honeydew Melon disagrees, as does the video evidence that Kiwi Farms has a copy of. You digitally penetrated, you raped that melon. That is why you cannot be within 500 yards of any type of farmer's market or produce stand. In fact, I'm pretty sure that the supermarket, has to have an employee follow you the minute you start to step foot into their produce section. Aussies are stupid. I went to middle school with a girl that had a D cup at 12. The video shows him humping that melon too. Yeah. Look, just because it edges you doesn't mean you didn't rape it. Let's see. He has said these things and other defamation repeatedly and continues to defame me in his published videos to the present day. His words are cruel and he isn't joking. But you said that he's known for comedy and hyperbole in your complaint. Just saying. You can't say he's known for it and then say, but he wasn't joking in this instance, because the judge can be like, you sure? How do you know? How do you know that? How do you know he's not? Huh? How do you know? How do you know? In my opinion, he has defamed me with malice. Your opinion doesn't mean shit. What matters is the facts of the case. His allegations have caused substantial grief and anxiety from me and my family. You don't have a family. You have a girlfriend. And I guarantee you the anxiety is from you acting like a fucking retard. She's probably wondering when is the next time you're going to give her a fucking black eye. That's a joke, by the way. I don't want you to think that, I'm being serious about this. I think you're a retard. I think you're an idiot. A lot of people think you're a retard and idiot. A lot of people think you have raped that melon. And you owe that melon an apology. I in fact, am one of those people. It has disrupted my sleep and has caused me to suffer great physical and emotional distress. Really? You didn't get anything from your doctor to help you with your sleep? Didn't give you Ambien? Didn't give you Trazodone? You're seeing a therapist. Your medical doctor hasn't, your therapist can't prescribe you anything. That's fair. But you're seeing a doctor. If you said, doc, I'm having trouble sleeping, he would write you a script for Ambien or for Trazodone. Trazodone is kind of an antidepressant that helps you sleep. I know, because I take it. Okay? I take it. Really works. Could have given you Ambien to just knock you the fuck out, although some of the side effects there can be fucking terrifying. But there's options that you apparently are not using. Again, I moved to Illinois to get away from those who follow defendants. I am not a part of any cause or political movement. Okay. I understand at least one definition of the word malice to be the intention or desire to do evil or ill will. I believe that is the basis of defendant's defamation of me. Really? To do evil? Stating facts that you created a snuff film that appears to involve a minor individual appears to be. It's not really defamatory. Stating a fact that has been stated for over a decade by dozens, if not hundreds of others on many websites outside of YouTube and Kiwi Farms. In fact, Kiwi Farms specifically cites to those websites. Defendant Rekieta defames me usually with a straight face. Yes, it's called bearing. It's called bearing. Okay. At least that's what we call it in the military. It's when you say something and you keep a straight face. Called a poker face for those of you who are retarded. Poker face. You give nothing away. You keep the same face going. You give nothing away. You're a retard. You raped a melon. Your video, your movie, appears to involve the murder and rape of an underage child. See this? See this cratered visage? One that will haunt your nightmares for the foreseeable future? You see it? You notice how I've managed to maintain composure as I say these things and say them with a straight face? It's called bearing. It's called a poker face. I give nothing away. Am I joking? Am I not? You don't know. Obviously, I've said multiple times, I'm joking about a lot of this. That's what Nick does. Nothing about most of his defamatory conduct suggests humor, levity, or that he's joking, except that you say that he is known for hyperbole and humor in your own fucking complaint. Remember how I said that was going to be fatal to your case? Randazza seems to agree that it is fatal to your case. Not a good thing for you, retard. Defendant never couches his criticism of me or my art using terms suggesting he is merely offering his opinion. I mean, when I say it certainly looks like you made a video, a movie, a short movie, whatever you want to call it, that involves an underage child being raped and murdered, an underage girl. In fact, that's what it looks like. It is also my opinion, because it could be factual. This person does look underage. That's that's kind of what you've given us the impression that she's underage. I believe you, even in the video you say that she's underage, right? I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've seen it, and I don't want to watch it again, but I might have to. So fuck you for that. But I'm pretty sure you did. Kinda fatal. To the contrary, he sometimes declares when he defames me that he is stating facts. I mean, that is a fact, but if that's a fact, that that's what you said, then he can then add on his opinion that you're a pedophile or that you are sexually attracted to children or that you have an unhealthy fascination with children at the very least. That would be an opinion at that point. Because we can't really know, right? We can't really know on that one. But he's basing it off of things he can actually see, he can actually hear. He often asks his guests and co-hosts to go along with him. I mean, hosts do that as a general rule. Nothing new there. He reminds me of Alex Jones. Why? Why does he remind you of Alex Jones? It just seems like you threw that in there because Alex Jones is a hot topic and you're trying to bias the judge. Maybe Steve Quest is truly an ADA retard agent gone rogue because that's the only thing that makes sense by writing this. It's possible. It's very much possible. Did he fire his lawyer and just start filing his own shit? That sounds so retarded. This sounds so retarded. No, he didn't fire his lawyer. He did not fire his lawyer. I can tell you that much. He has never stated, I really don't know this guy, so don't take my word for it, or anything else like this suggesting he's engaging in protected free speech. He doesn't have to. Doesn't have to. I asked him most recently on a chat during his November 4, 2022 show to stop it and retract. He stated on the program that he would not. I'm pretty sure you were spurging the fuck out and typing in all caps, as you are wont to do as a retard. I state and affirm that I am not a pedophile. I do not suck little boys' cocks. I am not a faggot. Excuse me. Proper inflection necessary. I am not a faggot. I did not create a snuff film starring a female actor. And I did not create a snuff film starring a male child actor. I've never had sex with a melon. I've never been charged or convicted of any crimes associated with these and other defamatory statements. I hope I am not perceived as a moron or a retard. Hope all you want. It's not changing reality, buddy. Then what is this? Is this actually filed with the court? Yeah, this is his affidavit. This is his affidavit. He basically had to file it in support of his memorandum because the memorandum claims a couple of things, and we're going to go over that. Don't worry. But both he and his attorney do file affidavits, and we're going over the affidavits because holy shit! Like I said at the beginning, you may not have been here, and I can excuse that. But the affidavit was better written. I was pleasantly surprised. Well, yeah, pleasantly surprised that it was better written. And then I got to the affidavits because I skimmed the memorandum, the motion, and then I looked at the affidavits and I was like, holy fucking shit. Like as soon as I read the first and second paragraph of this affidavit from Montegraph, I was like, holy fucking shit. That's when I made that tweet about him lying to the court. That's what really set me off to talk about this shit. Excuse me. In collaboration with others, I've created videos in which emotions, including anger, are accentuated, much like how I accentuate a couple of words. I've created films condemning prostitution. Okay. Even though I'm pretty sure that's the only way you're getting laid. I have attempted to discuss and illustrate the prevalence of hate groups in America and question the presence of the Illuminati in America and the potential connection to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. That's not the only thing. I do not have extensive viewership of my videos, and I have not filed any of them with the Library of Congress. Immaterial. I have not trademarked or sought copyright of any art independently produced by me. I mean, copyright's assumed within reason. I'm not going to go into it because I really don't understand it. I just know that when you create something, there's an implied copyright. So even if you don't file for one, you still have some protection under copyright. Finally, I have not earned significant income through the direct sale of art created by me, although I have had AdSense, YouTube commercials, played on art videos which have generated income. I also have NFTs for sale, but have not sold any thus far. Gee, I fucking wonder why. A phenomenon and consequence of podcasts, especially those where viewers ask questions and interact with the host, is a following and fan clubs may develop. It is my impression defendants had developed an extensive fan club given the volume of his viewership, over 500,000 subscribers, some of which have also become supporters and even defenders of defendants. I, too, have attempted to create podcasts and develop a following, and in a way attempted to emulate defendants, but without also engaging in defamation. Well, there's your problem then, I guess. In fairness, I have not been anywhere nearly as successful as defendant, even though he's been on the internet for like twice the amount of time that Nick's been on here, which really goes to show you how charismatic he isn't. For my work, I have to rely on creative focus and spend considerable time on researching topics for my shows. So does Nick, except he doesn't really do much research. Let's be honest here. Me reading over this stuff beforehand, as little as I did, is probably more work put into this stream than Nick does on any of his. For my work, as a result of defense malicious defamation and false allegations of crimes, I now must spend the bulk of my time monitoring the internet to identify any threats of physical violence against my family and myself. Because that's happening, even though you don't provide any proof of it. You just say it is. They're kink films, period. Yep. As noted above, a significant reason for moving away from my home in Colorado is members of defendants fan club found my home and stalked me. Hold on. Wait a minute. That would have been before 2020. Not now. I'm going to go with no. You don't provide any proof that these people follow Nick. You don't provide any proof that this ever happened. So that's a big thing. You just say it happened and that they're related to Nick, but don't explain how you know this. You just say it's happening. I mean, if the Illuminati is a thing and you're exposing them, don't you think maybe the Illuminati might be doing it? I mean, for fuck's sake, you did call Anthony Fauci and threaten him, which is pretty base, by the way. Don't get me wrong. Pretty base to do that. But I'm just saying, you made threats to government officials. Do you think you're not on a watch list of some type? Do you think the government might not be monitoring you because you are completely unhinged? Might there not be another reason? There have been people waiting for me, leaving my home, taking video of me, mocking me, and following me and threatening me. For instance, one viewer physically went to my mailing address on his motorcycle shortly after watching a live stream created by defendants on June 29, 2019. The same person who followed me around then published photos of my address online. Recently, he has been vowing to find my location and harass me again. His screen name is Randy from Reality. However, I don't know his real name. Attached here too are true and correct copies of 3 pictures taken of my truck by members of defendants fan club, which they've published on the internet. Again, I've looked at the pictures. Doesn't show how he knows that Nick Rekieta is involved. He just says this is true. Correlation does not equal causation. Just because it happened shortly after that stream doesn't mean that Nick had anything to do with it. In fact, you don't really show that Nick had anything to do with it. You just allege it. It has become a full-time job trying to mitigate the security risk and damage control to my professional reputation and good name given defendants' continuing defamation and harassment. Defendants' behavior has caused significant worry for my family members and myself. I feel I am responsible for their safety and well-being. If you just didn't rape that melon, I've become the target of derision from defendants and their audience, as well as other online channels associated with defendants. I have no association with Nick. Just saying, no association with Nick, even though I'm probably his best friend at this point next to Drexel. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. If I was, that would be very, very fucking sad. Where were the pictures supposedly posted? Guaranteed he posted them himself due to the schizo. Apparently they come from a YouTube video. Their wide reach of audience has caused the proliferation of abuse across the internet, and this most assuredly will continue in the future because you're a retard. I know from experience that people will stalk you in real life and threaten to murder you and threaten to commit sexual violence against significant others as a tool of intimidation because that's what he does. Maybe not that last part. I don't think he's actually threatened sexual violence against anybody, but he's definitely made threats against government officials. Defendants' ongoing and continuous slander, libel. Again, I went over this in the first stream, I think it was, but it's one of those things that's not really. A lot of attorneys don't understand is that technically, when you say something on YouTube, it's a permanent medium, so it's technically libel. I think that was stated in the Akilah Hughes v. Carl Benjamin lawsuit. It's technically libel, even though I'm speaking it. It's considered a permanent medium, so it's technically libel. Displays malicious intent to cause further harm or to ridicule a retard. As a result of defendants' words and actions and defamation, I am seeking counseling to deal with the anxiety from which I now suffer. This has been extremely painful for me and my family to have my name and face associated with defendants' taunts and threats. How is cyberbullying real? Just turn off the computer screen. Just saying. The attacks by defendants have also had a significant financial impact on me because people, especially his fan club, believe what defendant Rekieta says on his shows are statements as facts. No, most of us are smart enough to understand when he's joking. Most of us are smart. I can't say all of us, obviously. There are some people who are just retarded, probably just as retarded as you, who will take what he says at face value. But the vast majority do not. Because he is a licensed attorney, definitely not the reason. He's an attorney. He lies for a living. We all know this. and has spoken on national and international legal cases to a broad audience. Immaterial. Since his slanderous attacks, my audience participation has greatly been reduced. I'm going to need to see proof of that one. Also, my ability to produce videos has been reduced because my time is being consumed protecting myself. I literally am required to scroll through the internet and discover sites and quotes falsely attributed to me and report them as false. Again, you ignore it. Speaking from experience, you ignore stupid people who say stupid shit because you're never going to convince them otherwise. Don't waste your fucking time. I've had some absolutely heinous shit said about me. I know I can't convince the people who believe that shit without putting literally my entire life story out there and doxing pretty much every part of my life, my family, etc. Ain't gonna happen. I let the retards be retards. I let them wallow in their self-misery. Right? One of my biggest A-logs, if you want to call them that, I know about the 14-year-old. Just want to let John know that I know about the 14-year-old. Letting that hang out there. Okay? You ignore it. You ignore them because they can't do shit to you. Also, my ability. I literally am required to scroll through the internet and discover sites and quotes, blah, blah, blah. An example of a false website attributed to me and included with defendant's exhibits offered as part of their motion to dismiss is called the 222 Crew. This occurred in 2016. A computer user with the screen name Voice of Dissent published a video where he admitted the article he wrote, 222 Exposed, was false. The entire article was orchestrated as he went line by line to explain how he falsified information, and he then apologized. You have proof of that? Do you have that proof? Do you have that proof? Or are you just making that up? You just hate shit. He deserves to lose his channel for what he has done for 15 years on YouTube. Montegraph is a human degenerate. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. The IMDb page also included with defendant's exhibits that references the Umbrella Man film and all the information associated with the production of that film, including lead actress Vicky Miller, actor Montegraph, the Umbrella Man, is not my account. This particular IMDb page appears to be operated by Doug McGuire, who I understand is a Hollywood actor that once stood in for Brad Pitt. Really? Interesting. I understand he wrote and produced another film titled Bankroll. He takes credit for the film Keyboard Commandos Must Die. I believe Doug McGuire and Magco Entertainment are the same entity. I never wrote those words associated with that IMDb. In November 2022, I emailed IMDb to remove the bogus page or its association with me. Why did it take you that long? It's been up for God knows how long. Why did it take you that long? Might it be because you were planning to go after Nick and you wanted to try to scrub any evidence? Has IMDb taken it down? I don't think they have. I continue to be amazed. Okay. How defendant Rekieta attracts other lawyers on his programs and videos who sit there while defendant Rekieta defames me. Because you're a weirdo. You're a produce raping weirdo. They usually say nothing. One participant is constantly fiddling with an assault rifle while they talk about me. Who's the based lawyer that is fiddling with an assault rifle during a stream? Because I want to know what kind of rifle it is. Somebody tell me. Maybe Twisted knows. Twisted, who's the lawyer who has the rifle, and why are we not streaming? Runkle? Not based, Canadian. They usually say nothing, blah, blah, blah. At least half a dozen lawyers who are defendant Rekieta's friends and guests on his show are participating in the continued ridicule of myself based on these false allegations. Are they, or are they ridiculing you for filing what is a frivolous lawsuit? I guarantee you it's the latter. The fact that they are lawyers giving tacit approval, I don't know if it's tacit approval, that it is okay to publicly accuse someone of heinous crimes to a wide audience further exacerbates the incitement of violence under mob mentality. The shit? Encouraging everyone on the internet to follow defendants. I have been asked by David Schneider, my lawyer, to determine how many videos defendants have created since the lawsuit commenced. Starting on December 12, 2022, defendants published his videos on 3 different internet platforms: YouTube, Rumble, and Locals. Here are the video totals per platform from December 12th to January 2nd. Rumble 12, YouTube 12, Local 17. Rumble and YouTube are similarly the same number. Interesting. Maybe it's because it's the same stream, you absolute fucking mongoloid. Rumble and YouTube overlap. Okay, well, at least he told us that. Okay. So he could serve as two Super Chat AdSense platforms at the same time. Okay, that's fair. On average, defendants' live streams will drop off of YouTube after an hour, then continue streaming on Rumble for hours longer. Typically, defendant Rekieta will become more profane on Rumble, which is more tolerant of profanity than YouTube. It's true. I really should switch to Rumble at this point. Really should. Anyways, YouTube enforces a code of conduct. Excuse me. The total hours from all the videos are over 74 hours from December 12th to January 2nd. Much has been made of the Umbrella Man video. Oh, really? Much has been? Much has been? Ooh, that's not good to say. And when we get to the motion, you'll understand why that is. In late 2009, I decided to create a horror film because I had never done a horror film. And this is the problem with people who think they're making horror films nowadays, is they're really just making slasher films and going, oh, it's a horror film. Nah, man, it's a slasher film. There's a huge difference. Horror films were something like The Exorcist or the Amityville Horror. Those were horror films. Those were like legit horror films. Night of the Living Dead was a horror film. You know, this Jason, Freddy Krueger shit, sure, you could argue it's horror. It's more of a slasher, right? It's just gratuitous violence. And as a Marine, I like gratuitous violence, but not like this, right? You made a slasher film. I would even argue you could make an argument, okay, I'll grant you can make an argument of psychological thriller as low quality as it is, okay? I think it's a slasher. I think it's a snuff film personally, but you could make the argument, and I recognize that. I don't think it's a good argument, but you could make the argument, and I recognize it. I started my YouTube channel July 4th, 2006. What the fuck? How is Monty going to be patriotic and Nick starts his shit July 5th? Fuck you, Nick. I support Montegraph now. You unpatriotic piece of shit. That's a joke, by the way. Did you notice how there was bearing there? Did you notice the poker faces I said that? It's very clearly a joke, though, right? We all know this. We all know that was a joke. Okay, cool. Let me see. Also, I was involved in some political collaborations nationally, one being with Jimmy Hook. Who the fuck is that? Another was with the Truth rapper and artist Payday Monsanto from Philadelphia. Additionally, I was doing music collaborations with artist Tommy Bontommy, whatever, who was from Germany. Nobody cares. I decided to call my original horror film The Umbrella Man based off of the assassination of JFK that occurred November 22nd, 1963. Historically, there was a man at the scene of the JFK assassination with an open umbrella on a sunny day in Dallas, Texas. This man was later interviewed by the FBI. To this day, there are many questions on the potential participant, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's conspiracy shit. I wanted my film to maintain its historical origins that may read like a Steve Cameron book on the topic, yet at the same time maintaining my own individual avant-garde style. In developing the storyline for The Umbrella Man, I wanted to establish the real-life incident that occurred in Dallas to a future tense. In short, in my film, he becomes the villain, a villain that we all know is a serial killer. Whatever. Okay, so all this doesn't matter. Okay, I believe The Umbrella Man truly disturbed the audience because even though there was no gratuitous violence or gore, nudity, or vulgar language, the entire film was produced for the viewer to fill in the blanks with their own imagination, similar to a Hitchcock-style film. Initially, I thought I had succeeded in creating a horror film. However, soon the trouble began. Now, here's where we have a problem for Monty. And we're going to get into this in the motion, but keep it in the back of your noggin. On February 26, 2015, a YouTube channel was created by an unknown user with my face titled Montegraph is JB Smeary of 222 Crew, in which at least 30 people attempted to falsely frame me for running a pedophile ring and having an association with the killing of John Benet Ramsey. Oh, really? 2015, you say? Interesting. They took images from the Umbrella Man where I'm wearing the mask and they incorporated it into a fake article that was written by username Dr. Dissent, aka John Evans, who I believe lives in Michigan. A book was written by Daniel Marion Mitchell, also from Michigan, titled Two is Too Young to Die. Mr. Mitchell placed the book for sale on Barnes & Noble, and it was pulled by the company because of complaints from the public for being so vile and reprehensible. What does that have to do with anything? Later, Mr. Mitchell maliciously and falsely attached my name, Steve Quest, as the author. Why did his lawyer let him submit this? Because there's only so much autism you can control. You could try to tard wrangle. Monty blows past that. You have to let him do his own stupid shit. You have to. Working in tandem with Tiffany Moser from California, Mr. Mitchell conspired with dozens of people to falsely frame me online as being a murdering pedophile. In addition to the fake book, different channels on YouTube were constantly harassing me on my main Montagraph channel, inundating it with false accusations of affiliation of a website they created in order to publicly injure me through character assassination. Why didn't you do anything about that? Why didn't you subpoena YouTube for their information? Why didn't you file a lawsuit? Why didn't you do anything? It doesn't look like you did. I vehemently denied these allegations both in comments and on video with my face and my voice, but to no avail. A Missouri police officer by the name of Jim Mitz was also involved online, threatened to publish my driver's license on a website titled Topics. I was fighting for my reputation and my personal safety and identified him by name to being associated with this conspiracy against me. God, this guy is fucking insane. He is legit. Numerous YouTube channels from all over the country and the world were involved in this operation. For instance, username Caliber Hitter, aka Felix Pantaleon, New York, Kenny KPZ, aka Warren Mason from Georgia, Miss Anonymous Dick, aka Catherine Childers, Kentucky, Tiffany Moser, California, Dr. Dissent, aka John Evans, Michigan. Okay, so he's just putting a bunch of names in here, whatever. There are so many, it's difficult to comprehend, compounding, blah, blah, blah. A lot of videos on the aforementioned channels were flagged on YouTube for malicious harassment or worse. Some came down, but most did not. Really? Most of them didn't come down despite the terms of service and code of conduct? Might there be a reason for that? I was injured through this, and I am still being injured by the likes of defendants who continue to insist to the audience of hundreds of thousands, not only on his channel, but other channels throughout YouTube and other social media platforms that I created snuff film, even after I told him multiple times that the actress is alive and well. Okay. Nobody's denying that she's alive and well. Nobody. I've gone over this so many fucking times, and this retard will not figure it out. Okay? I think he understands it, but he's not going to accept it because he needs to be a fucking victim, especially for this lawsuit. Nobody said she died. A snuff film does not have to be the actual death of a person. It just has to look like it. Right? It just has to look like it. Nobody's denying it was a film. It was fiction. I don't think Nick's even denied that. But he said it looked like it was a film where a child is killed. Doesn't mean that he's saying that you actually killed him. He says this is what the film looks like. When we see a movie where a child is killed, do we say that the child died in real life? No, we say the film involves a child dying. It should be remembered the Umbrella Man is a short film with actors. Nobody was actually kidnapped. Nobody was actually murdered, except everybody who had to watch that. We all died. We all died a little bit. Further, nobody reported a crime during filming. No police were called. No hospital visits were necessary. Again, this has nothing to do with anything. Everybody understands that didn't happen in real life. Just because you have breaks from reality because you are a fucking schizophrenic individual doesn't mean the rest of us do. This was an art project, an attempt to create a horror film. Defendant Rekieta, I believe, thinks the female actor victim in the Umbrella Man was a child. No, he hasn't said it was a child. He said it looked like a child. Hence, that is why he tells people I am a pedophile. Whatever. Nobody cares who Vicky Miller is. Okay. Discovery will show I'm treating with therapist Karen Steinbeck and Dr. Andrew Zasada for issues arising from defendant's harassment, threats, blah, blah, blah. I began seeing her in December 2022. My care providers continue to provide care and have not determined my issues have resolved. Okay, so he put that specifically in there because remember, Nick's motion specifically says he doesn't plead it, doesn't attach anything to show it. He's just saying he did. He thinks this remedies it. More than likely doesn't. And then we'll get to the affidavit of the attorney. And Jesus Christ, that was how long? Going through that. How long was that? That was an hour and 10 minutes. This should be a lot shorter. Your affiant David W. Schneider does hereby state, allege, and affirm. Affiant is an attorney licensed to practice law in the Minnesota and the federal courts. Attached here too is a true and correct copy of a letter received by your affiant from defendants dated December 15, 2017. This letter concerns matters of another case in which defendants and your affiant represented clients. It is offered for the limited purpose to show defendants ran an office practice in Wilmer, Minnesota. There should be a comma there. You separate the city or town from the state. And the firm's letterhead includes a stylized logo, which is substantially similar to defendants presently used as part of the background and introductory scenes used by defendants when defendants defame and harass plaintiff. All right, let's look at that. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Actually, let's take a look at this is what it looks like now. Not really similar. I mean, the RL, that doesn't mean anything. And again, it's not the website is not maintained by the law firm. It's maintained by Rekieta Media LLC, as Nick has said multiple times. Okay, so no. Your affiant accesses the Minnesota Secretary of State's website to ascertain identification of businesses and the usual and regular part of practice of law, and so doing related to this case, blah, 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 and discovered defendants engaged in an administrative termination of Rekieta Law LLC, which was recorded on February 3rd, 2023. Okay. Administrative termination. Maybe it's because he doesn't use it anymore. Maybe it's, maybe it became effective on that day. I don't know. Your affiant pays for a subscription to Minnesota Lawyer, a printed and online magazine published for lawyers and legal professionals. From the electronic version, your affiant has printed and attached a true and correct article concerning defendants. It is cited as Minnesota Lawyer article by Kevin Featherly entitled Filings, Attorney Helped Build Online Hate Factory. Okay? Doesn't have to do with anything. Since the inception of litigation, defendants have continued producing and publishing videos on the internet. For instance, on February 17th, Rekieta created a video titled, I'm being sued by a moron. Let's read it. Let's talk about it. Montgraph versus Rekieta Law. And is over 4 hours in length. Okay, cool. He's talking about the lawsuit. Aside from requiring Rendaza to down an entire bottle of extra strength Maalox, I don't see what that has to do with anything. Because so little evidence is properly before the court, your affiant cut 5 paragraphs from the amended complaint, specific complaints of defamation and evidence of actual malice by defendants against plaintiff Steve Quest, and pasted them into the memorandum opposing defendants' motions to dismiss and for summary judgment. They're on pages 5 and 6 of the memorandum of law. We'll see that. So okay. So he took those 5 paragraphs and put them into, okay. I was misreading. I was like, you cut them from it, and then put them on this? Why? Graphing has watched videos produced and published by defendants. An individual with whom defendant Nicholas Rekieta has appeared a number of times, in which plaintiff Steve Quest has either been defamed or spoken about with malice, or both, occurs with a woman named Megan Fox. not to be confused with haughty Megan Fox, the actress. On a number, although she kind of looks like an alien now. Too much plastic surgery. She's kind of like Roswell grayish. On a number of such videos, defendant Nicholas Rekieta stated that under the ADA, presumably the Americans with Disabilities Act, yes, even a retard like me understood that. Just saying, he's assigned and must accept a retard to watch over Rekieta to help him not offend, defame, or hurt others. He and Megan Fox, why is there a comma? That's an unnecessary comma. Laugh and carry on about how funny this notion is that a person who doesn't appreciate being defamed is thus a retard and worthy of additional hostility. I mean, it's more of how he responds to everything. Literally loses his fucking mind. I'm starting to feel feverish. I was feeling bad earlier. Like, I wasn't feeling 100%, but now I'm starting to feel a little feverish. Not a good sign. Other versions of the story have been published by defendants in other videos as well. Do you not proofread shit? Do you not proofread? Seriously. Your Affian's legal assistant Sharon Wellander, paralegal Bernice Peltier, law partner Bill Madsen, associate Mark Thalberg have watched defendant's videos. Your Affian's wife, Trish Perry, has also watched them. Okay, so cool. With regards to the word uttered by defendants against plaintiff Steve Quest, every viewer, including your Affian, has exclaimed defendant's word and conduct as outrageous. Cool. Nobody gives a shit. Notary Public Sharon Wellander. Oh, his legal assistant. Okay. There you go. There's that. Attorney of the Year. Was Nick an Attorney of the Year? Was Nick Attorney of the Year? Was he? Oh, okay. It was because it's part of that. Okay. I got excited. I was like, Nick was an Attorney of the Year. He wasn't even fucking practicing in 2023. Man, he's such a good lawyer. He wasn't even practicing. He made Attorney of the Year. That's good. Okay, we're getting to this. This is a long one. Take a piss. Go grab something to eat. Grab something to drink, preferably alcoholic, because you know this is going to be really fucking stupid. You know it's going to be stupid. You know it's going to be stupid. You know it's going to be stupid. So feel free to go grab snacks and whatnot. Fuck, my shoulder. I busted up my shoulder. Not busted up, but you know, I'm in a little bit of pain. Don't worry, I'll be grabbing whiskey after I finish my cookies and milk. Yeah, you probably should. I'm just saying, you might want to grab something to eat. All right, so we're going to get into this. Plaintiff's memorandum opposing defendant's special motion, motion to dismiss, motion for summary judgment, and motion to apply Colorado law. Now, remember that the motion that Randazza filed specifically was an anti-SLAPP motion. Minnesota doesn't have an anti-SLAPP law. Their Supreme Court has ruled it unconstitutional. Disagree, but hey, whatever. And they wanted to apply Colorado's anti-SLAPP motion because it looks like, to them, Montegraph is forum shopping, which is a very bad idea. Plaintiff Steve Quest submits this memorandum in opposition to defendant Nicholas Rekieta and Rekieta Law LLC's Rekieta special motion to dismiss plaintiff's case pursuant to Colorado law, motion to apply Colorado law, and for summary judgment pursuant to Rule 56 of the Minnesota Rules of Civil Procedure. This court should deny Rekieta's motion and request because it is neither properly before the court and because there are genuine issues of material fact in this case that must be determined by a finder of fact. Which would be a summary judgment, wouldn't it? Minnesota Rules Civil Procedure 5602 and 5603 set forth rules to present a motion for summary judgment permitted by Minnesota Rules Civil Procedure 5601. Time to file a motion. Service and filing of the motion must comply with the requirements of 11503 of the General Rules of Practice for the District Courts, provided that in no event shall the motion be served less than 14 days before the time fixed for the hearing. Unless the court orders otherwise, a party may not file a motion for summary judgment more than 30 days after the close of all discovery. Okay, so it looks like he filed the motion properly. There's not less than 14 days before the fixed time for the hearing, right? There's no hearing scheduled, so that's good. A party may not file a motion for summary judgment more than 30 days after the close of all discovery. There hasn't been discovery, so that's good to go. It looks like time to file a motion, good to go. Procedures. This is probably what they want to hit on, okay? A party asserting that there is no genuine issue as to any material facts must support the assertion by citing the particular parts of materials in the record, including depositions, documents, electronically stored information, affidavits, stipulations, including those made for purposes of the motion only, admissions, interrogatory answers, or other materials, or showing that the materials cited do not establish the absence or presence of a genuine issue for trial, or that an adverse party cannot produce admissible evidence to support the fact. So I guess they're saying that if I had to argue it, I would probably say that Montegraph can't provide the necessary evidence to support his claims. That's what I assume Randazzo would argue. Maybe I'm not looking at it in the proper way. Objection that a fact is not supported by admissible evidence. A party may object that the material cited to support a dispute of fact cannot be presented in a form that would be admissible. Materials not cited, the court need consider only the cited materials, but it may consider other materials in the record. Now, this is kind of the interesting thing. A default judgment goes by what's in it. It goes by what's called the four corners of the complaint, meaning that what's in the complaint is all that fucking matters for a default judgment. This or a motion to dismiss. Or say, again, a default judgment against the plaintiff. I think I have that right. I may not. I know it has to do with the four corners of the, for a motion to dismiss, I definitely know that. However, they're moving for summary judgment, which is a little more loose. That's why they were able to put stuff into their motion that wasn't necessarily part of the complaint, although the argument would then be it was incorporated by reference by the complaint itself, is what I might make the argument for, and especially when you're going to read some or hear some of the stuff that's in this. Rekieta has offered Exhibit 1 through 15 and Exhibit 22 without offering proper foundation for their admissibility. All right, we're going to really quickly, I'm going to do that because I want to go to the exhibits for this. That's the complaint exhibit. Let's see. Okay, so Exhibit 1, we'll go over here. Exhibit 1 is the motion, the response to the motion to dismiss. Again, we'll come over here. Foundation for their admissibility. None have been offered in evidence other than by way of declaration of an attorney named Alex Shepard, who only declares he saw the individual exhibit. These exhibits should be excluded as hearsay. He cannot and has not affirmed who created any exhibit, its import, context, or relevancy. Okay, so there. Okay, so he's not saying who created the exhibit. Who's the one who actually created this exhibit that you see in front of you? Uh, I'm assuming it was what's his name? I'm assuming it would be Shepard. These exhibits, to be sure, he does not declare he created any exhibit other than to transcribe certain conversations. Finally, some exhibits, in particular those erroneously attributed to Quest, one related to Quest's brother, not a party to this matter, are also unfairly prejudicial. Are they? If they are attributed to Quest having said or done something, would they be prejudicial though? Quest evidentiary objections are based on Minnesota Rules of Evidence 405, reputation or opinion, specific instances of conduct, MRE 602, lack of personal knowledge, 801C and 802 hearsay, and 805 hearsay within hearsay. Yo, dog, I hear you like hearsay. And MRE 403, exclusion of relevant evidence on grounds of prejudice, confusion, or waste of time. Has the melon fucker showed up to Spurg? Not yet. And I'm a little sad. I'm not going to lie. He does know that his original account that he was in here with can post, but the other accounts I straight up banned because I timed him out on the first account for 5 minutes to curb his fucking autism. Instead, he used other accounts to come in and Spurg, and I banned those outright. Let's see. Finally, these exhibits should be excluded from the record and stricken pursuant to MRCP 5603 Bravo, as material cited to support or dispute a fact cannot be presented in a form that would be admissible in evidence. What? Exhibit 17 from the Shepard Declaration are articles of incorporation likely filed with the Minnesota Secretary of State, which are admissible under the business records exception to the hearsay rule if properly applied. What's 17? I think this is 1 through 16. I think this was 16, correct? Nope, this is 5. Okay. Whatever. Exhibit 19 from the Shepard Declaration is a magazine article from Minnesota lawyer, a known reputable source, and may be accepted in evidence under the business records exception to the hearsay rule if properly offered. Because if you said that it couldn't be, then the response would be, why are you incorporating an article from the exact same fucking web magazine and trying to put that in? I'll post watermelons to attract them. Please don't. Please don't. These paragraphs in the Shepard Declaration comprising transcription of Rekieta's programs, although hearsay, also appear accurate and reliable and can be accepted under the business records exception to the hearsay exception or hearsay rule if properly offered. Documents not properly before the court. Quest identifies the documents, noting objections that are attached to the declaration of Alex Shepard Exhibits 1 through 22 submitted by Rekieta. Quest does not adopt these, however. References to exhibit numbers. Let me back up. Quest does not adopt these. However, references to exhibit numbers and page shall be the same as those set forth in the Shepard Declaration. Documents comprising the record. As they are offered by way of affidavit, these documents comprise the record before the courts. Affidavit of Steve Quest with the accompanying exhibit. You're saying that the only things before the court are going to be your affidavit and your client's affidavit? And nothing else. That's a bold move. 2 photographs depicting a truck driven by Quest in one of his home. Affidavit of David Schneider with accompanying exhibits. Correspondent from defendants dated December 15, 2017. Minnesota lawyer article. Only our stuff can be before the court, not the other side. We'll see if they justify such a bold statement. Let's find out. Rekieta is a lawyer licensed in Minnesota who earns income offering legal opinions on the internet. Well, at least you said opinions and not advice. You know what? Let's all give him a round of applause. He's improved. He's improved. Attached to Snyder affidavit is Exhibit 24 is a copy of correspondence from defendants in the context of representing a client in an unrelated case. The document displays a stylized logo. This logo is substantially the same as that which Rekieta uses on published videos to the present day. Disagree. I'm just going to say disagree. See the videos published by Rekieta uploaded as part of Quest's motion for default judgment filed January 13th, 2023. Rekieta has since closed this office. However, defendant Nicholas Rekieta continues practicing law in the area. Until this month, up until February 3rd, he registered the name Rekieta Law LLC with the Minnesota Secretary of Commerce. After visiting the Minnesota Secretary of State's website, Rekieta engaged in an administrative termination of the LLC. On the internet, he refers to his shows, what he's doing, and who he is as Rekieta Law. Okay. While speaking on a wide range of legal topics, he comes into contact with other individuals on the internet who seek to chat with Rekieta. Okay. So if I were to start a business, like unrelated to what I'm doing right now, and name it Spectre 06, I don't know, Spectre 06 Construction or whatever. Just because I do that doesn't mean that the construction, even if I return this into like kind of like a drywall or plumbing or some shit like that, YouTube channel, it wouldn't mean that the company I run or the company I created, even though it might have Spectre 06 as in the name, doesn't mean that they're the same thing or that one represents the other. It just means I'm unoriginal as shit, right? Just means I am lazy as shit, unoriginal as shit, and I'm just gonna do whatever makes, I'm just gonna take the easy way out. Kind of like using the exact same fucking password for literally everything you do. And I won't say who did that, but he's a rage pig. Anyways. While speaking on blah, blah, blah. From the videos produced by Rekieta uploaded to the court on November 13, 2023, which accompanied Quest's motion for default judgment, defendant Nicholas Rekieta's behavior can be observed. He engages profanity, vulgarity, and attacks people on the internet and does so for profit. This is true. This is true. He's profane. He's vulgar. He says shit about people on the internet. Wait, you don't know that you don't know that Ralph used the exact same password for everything? He showed that password when he was signing up for Chud Buds, fucked up, and showed the actual password he wanted to use because he was drunk, and thought he was looking at something else. And then people got into his email address and started leaking his emails because, again, he used the exact same password for literally everything. In fact, his Cloudflare redirected from the RalphRetort.com to his Kiwi Farms subforum. Yeah. His what was it? His Power Chat used the exact same stuff, so they got into that. His email, his Cloudflare. It was not a good time for Ralph. Let's see. The magazine Minnesota Lawyer described Rekieta in November 2019 article as helping to build an online hate factory. I mean, that's opinion, but whatever. At some time in the past, during the year 2019, Rekieta first spoke and or chatted with Quest. The parties have never met in person and have no direct business dealings with each other or through third persons. Rekieta has attacked Quest on his Rekieta Law show, defaming Quest. From the beginning of Rekieta's attacks, Quest has asked him to stop and retract. Evidence of request and Rekieta's refusal to retract are found in a November 4, 2022 program with Megan Fox. At no time has Rekieta sought to apologize or retract defamatory statements. Indeed, as of his February 17, 2023 video, Rekieta continues to refuse. Indeed, on February 17, 2023, Rekieta created a video titled, "I'm being sued by a moron. Let's read it. Let's talk about it. Montagraph versus Rekieta Law," and is over 4 hours in length. Rekieta clearly is not running away from his malicious and defamatory statements, but as time passes, he is building upon the original defamation as pled in plaintiff's amended complaint. And then this is where they take some of the paragraphs and copy them from the complaint. Oh yeah, don't mention that the first time Quest spoke to Rekieta, Quest threatened Rekieta. Yeah, I remember that. Didn't he threaten to go to Rekieta's house? Oh yeah, I'm sure he wants that in front of a jury. Man, that'd be really bad. Another lie told by this retard. Anyways, from the Shepard Declaration, paragraphs 25 to 30, such defamatory and malicious comments have actually been transcribed, thus offering even greater detail of Rekieta's defamation and malice. Again, you can't give like context, you can't give like inflection, you can't give tone in the written word. So you can't really say greater detail of malice. Defamation, sure, but not malice. You can't make that argument. Initiation of litigation did not stop Rekieta, and attacks continue online. The court may take judicial notice that after this memorandum is served and filed, Rekieta will likely make additional online. Ooh, you're trying to say that in the future he's going to keep doing it. That's not a good idea. Probably not a good idea. Argument. Summary judgment is inappropriate. 1. A motion for summary judgment is not properly before the court. Is it though? I think it might be. Rekieta has retained a very well-known law firm with offices in Nevada and Massachusetts. That's right. Randazzo's from my home state. Thus proving that we make some of the worst people. It is apparent from their appearance pro hoc vice this firm has not moved for summary judgment in Minnesota until now. The motion presently before the court was accompanied by no affidavits. That's a fair point. You have to have affidavits. Unsworn statements will not cover it. No written discovery answers. Doesn't require it. No admissions. Doesn't require it. No deposition testimony transcripts. Doesn't require it. It all looks like this is all stuff that can be alluded to or can be pointed to. The law, the rules don't say that it's a requirement. It just says that you can point to this, right? The affidavits you have an argument for because, it's unsworn declarations or it's just declarations, not affidavits. You can make that argument, but the rest of it is just like superfluous. Rekieta made its motion. Its motion? Really? Did you just misgender Rekieta? Wow. I am literally shaking right now. I can't even. Rekieta made its motion before the parties vetted its evidence through discovery. Okay? The only support for Rekieta's motion is found in the declaration of Alex Shepard. Clearly requires the moving party must support the assertion by offering either citing to particular parts of materials in the record, including depositions, documents, electronically stored information, affidavits, stipulations, including those made for the purposes of the motion only, admissions, interrogatory answers, or other materials, or showing that the materials cited do not establish the absence or presence of a genuine issue for trial, or that an adverse party cannot produce admissible evidence to support the fact. Okay, so you cure the defect by making him sign it as an affidavit rather than an unsworn declaration. Boom. Now you got that, and go fuck yourself. Because this motion was made immediately following Rekieta's answer, we have no record upon which to move to summary judgment. A record is required for a court to issue an order and judgment. But you said documents comprising the record. So we have a record, apparently. According to you, we have a record. Oh. Oh, shit. The choice to offer evidence through declaration as opposed to affidavit in a case where the parties have developed no other evidence comprising a record is not trivial or meaningless. Rekieta's choice means that they have not offered support for the assertion in the motion and memorandum required by the rule. While it is true that under Minnesota statute section 358.116, unless specifically required by court rule, a pleading motion, affidavit, or other document filed with the court of Minnesota judicial branch or presented to a judge or judicial officer in support of a request for a court order, warrant, or other relief is not required to be notarized, Minnesota Rules 56.03 alpha does not give the moving party that option. Indeed, this rule specifically requires evidence to be offered through affidavit to show the factual basis for the claim and the moving party's burden to prove. Okay, so once again, you correct this by having him sign affidavits. Boom. Randazzo's answer should just be the excerpt from Retard's own affidavit where he fucking admits his reputation was horrible prior to even coming in contact with Rekieta. Again, I think he's going to. I believe he absolutely will. And again, I'm 3 for 3 on making predictions. I think I'm going to be 4 for 4 or 5 for 5. I've been pretty good about this. Declarations are written documents the writer believes are true, but the statements contained in the declaration are made without the writer being sworn in. In short, without offering true statements or offering verified evidence worthy of a lawyer's affirmation, Rekieta could be presenting documents to the court that are not what Rekieta thinks they are, nor can the court be assured Rekieta's offer of proof, evidence, is trustworthy. Kind of like your client saying he lives in another state that he told the court he lives in up until this point. Attorney Alex Shepard, licensed in California and Nevada, likely chose to disclose exhibits through declaration to avoid the obligation to verify truthfulness and accuracy. I mean, maybe. Alternatively, it could have just been easier. After all, much of what is published on the internet is not true. I mean, that's true. That's a fair point. Not published by those to whom ascribed, and especially nowadays, almost always taken out of context. Schneider, stop making good points. I fucking hate you. Quest does not blame Alex Shepard for protecting a license to practice law. Are you alleging that the lawyer is engaging in judicial misconduct? Ethics violations? You better be able to fucking back that one up. But this abundance of caution means the exhibits Rekieta intended to disclose cannot be used to support the motion. And you can cure the defect. Rule 5603 is in place for a reason, specifically because the moving party must show that there is no genuine issue as to any material fact, and the movement is entitled to judgment as a matter of law. How can the court rule in the movement's favor when the movement himself isn't even certain the proffered evidence is what the person offering it thinks it is? Maybe he does, but again, it could have just been easier to do it this way. Maybe. Right? That's a possibility. For this procedural reason, Rekieta's motion for summary judgment should be denied. But don't you say there is no motion for summary judgment before the court? I feel like said that. Stated that there is no summary judgment before the court. Yeah, okay, so it's not properly before the court. So, whatever. I'm just pointing this out. I'm just pointing this out. You say it's not before the court. I don't know why you're saying it needs to be denied. Material facts are before the court showing Rekieta defamed Quest and did so with actual malice. Do they show he defamed him, though? He alleges they are. But pretty much anybody else who watches it says otherwise. I mean, I'm just saying. Could be something you need a trier of fact to determine. Rekieta may cure the above noted defect. They admit this. Spectre is right. Spectre is correct on this. Go me. I'm smart. And offer evidence by way of affidavit. If accepted by the court and the motion is heard, Quest shoot. Why do people not proofread? Why you have like a bunch of people in your office who can go through it and proofread for you? Why won't you proofread people? Why won't you proofread motions? For the love of fucking Christ, please. Proofread motions. Love of God. If accepted by the court and the motion is heard, Quest chooses to defend on the merits of the case and offers this memorandum of law opposing Rekieta's motion for summary judgment. Okay, cool. So they're saying, look, if he corrects it, cool. Let's have the hearing. A motion for summary judgment shall be granted when the pleadings, depositions, answers to interrogatories, admissions, and affidavits show there are no genuine issues of material fact and the moving party is entitled to judgment as a matter of law. Okay. A material fact is one that will affect the outcome of the case. To survive a summary judgment motion, the non-moving party must therefore establish that there is a genuine issue of material fact through substantial evidence, meaning legal sufficiency and not quantum of evidence. You can't just have prima facie. It has to be sufficient to show that you might win or that you could win. It sounds like he's just being pissy because he got his PP smacked by a famous lawyer. I mean, maybe. That's possible. I don't know. I don't know anymore. The evidence must be viewed in the light most favorable to the non-moving party. That's fair. A genuine issue of material fact exists if a rational trier of fact, considering the record as a whole, could find for the non-moving party. In a negligence action, the defendant is entitled to summary judgment when the record reflects a complete lack of proof on any of the four essential elements of the claim, meaning that you only have to show that one of them is not met. The existence of a duty of care, a breach of that duty, an injury, and that breach of the duty was the proximate cause of the injury. And you really can't establish four, because even in your affidavit, you say this has been happening for years. And you literally cite two people who have done this to you for years. In fact, you all but admit that Rekieta based it off of what they were saying and what they were posting. So you don't show that there was a breach of that duty. And you don't show that the breach of the duty was the proximate cause of the injury. Congratulations, you fucking played yourself. I don't know why, and I have to go with Twisted Puppet. I don't know why his lawyer allowed him to file that affidavit. I don't know why. It torpedoes his fucking case. His entire case is torpedoed now. He's admitted he's lied about his residence, where he lives. He did it only after Colorado law was being brought into it. Oh, shit. Well, here's the defense. I don't actually live in Colorado. Well, but you told the court 3 times in the span of a month that you did. Okay. And then you put in, yes, for years I have been defamed by people who have said the exact same stuff. Okay. Okay. By the way, you filed a lawsuit against a guy claiming the exact same thing, and a court ruled against you. So is it really defamation if you base it off of that? Probably not. Probably not. Plaintiff may need not prove all 4 elements to survive a motion for summary judgment on any of the 4 essential elements. I think it does. Unless I'm reading something wrong. But simply must show there are facts in the record that give rise to a genuine issue for a trial. Okay, that's fair. Okay, so I was reading it wrong. If I had read one more sentence, I wouldn't have looked like as much of an idiot. But even then, Quest is admitting that this has happened for years. So hold on. Was it statement of Nick Rekieta? Or was it a affidavit? I honestly cannot remember. This answer. I feel like it was Reddit. Oh, there's a table of contents here. What the fuck? Holy shit, that's awesome. There's a table of contents on these exhibits. Ooh, that's awesome. Oh, but there isn't here. Okay, interestingly, it's not an affidavit necessarily, but I'll bring this up. So this is Nick's declaration, right? This is Nick's declaration. And if we go all the way to the bottom, he states that excuse me, let's find it. I declare in a penalty of perjury that everything I have stated in this document is true and correct. Argument there could be that is an affidavit in everything but name only. So, you know, That should be on the record, should it not? Should it not be on the record? They're trying to say that there's nothing else on the record, but this seems to contradict them. I would argue that. As an officer of the court, he is declaring under penalty of perjury that this is true and correct. That would be my argument. Summary judgment is inappropriate, where reasonable persons might draw different conclusions from the evidence presented. Rekieta is falsely accused Quest of a crime, pedophilia, not a crime, and sex with minors. I mean, he didn't really say he had sex with minors. He said he thinks that Montegraph enjoys sucking little boys' dicks. Not really accusing him of a crime. I mean, you can make the argument. I'll grant you that. Rekieta has no such evidence because it's not true. I mean, he's not saying he does. He's saying, I believe he likes to suck little boys' dicks. Not really defamation. It's an opinion. Does Quest's lawyer have a writing of Twitter? I don't know. Do you think Mellengraph is writing this and the lawyer's just filing? No, I think the lawyer actually is writing this. That'd be the stupidest thing that lawyer could ever do. Yeah, probably. I draw a reasonable conclusion that Monty is a fucking retard, his lawyer is a cunt, and the case should be dismissed with prejudice. That's fair. Rekieta is a false accusation of a crime is defamatory per se, except he's not accused him of a crime. Again, there's no accusation of a crime. Pedophilia is not a crime, and he hasn't accused him of raping a minor. He said he thinks he enjoys sucking little boys' dicks. It's not really accusing him of a crime. However, speaker is not liable for defamation if a qualified privilege protects a defamatory statement and the privilege is not abused. The privilege only applies if the statement is made in good faith upon a proper occasion with proper motive and is based upon reasonable and probable cause. Basically timing, right? It's a timing thing. Qualified privilege can exist when an individual makes a good faith report of suspected criminal activity to law enforcement. A mandated reporter kind of shit. But if qualified privilege applies, is generally a question of law. Rekieta has offered no evidence that his online show is, for example, some sort of public service announcement. I mean, it's about the dangers of alcoholism, I would argue, so it could be a public service announcement. He's not alerting neighbors to the registered sex offender next door. I mean, if he tried to, he would have been wrong, and you would have argued, since he doesn't live in Colorado anymore, no privilege exists. I mean, I'm just saying, I can see that because you seem like a shyster. You seem like a shitty lawyer who would do something like that, as evidenced by the fact you apparently filed an ethics complaint because he hurt your fucking fifis and cited to the law inappropriately. I'm just saying, seems like something you would do. Rekieta has offered no evidence. He's not alerting neighbors. Rekieta has called Quest a moron. That's a fact. He's a moron. He has called Quest a faggot. He is definitely that under the South Park definition. Definitely that. He's called him a retard. Yes. He has subsequently, by the way, none of those are defamatory. None of those things are defamatory. He has subsequently come up with a short story which he tells to friends, including Megan Fox, that under the ADA, presumably the Americans with Disabilities Act, yes, he's assigned and must accept a retard to watch over Rekieta to help him not offend, defame, or hurt others. It's a fucking joke. Literally everybody knows that isn't a real thing. Unless you're actually a retard. And then you might believe it. If you are missing a few brain cells, like Montegraph is, I believe Montegraph's IQ to be, I believe his IQ to be measured in room temperature, measured in Celsius. But pretty much anybody else, anybody who can think and doesn't need fingers and toes to count to 20, they know that is a joke. It is hyperbole. And it's not defamation. It's a joke. He and others, again, notably Megan Fox, laugh and carry on about how funny this notion is, that a person who doesn't appreciate being defamed is thus a retard and worthy of additional hostility. No, he's a retard for other things he has said and done. One wonders why the German word Schadenfreude, which means to derive pleasure from another's misfortune, wasn't ascribed to Rekieta by the writer of the Minnesota Law article, Online Hate Factory. From this writer's perspective, Rekieta enjoys being cruel. I mean, we all enjoy a little bit of cruelty in our lives. I'm a nice guy, but I enjoy calling people retards all the time. Dark humor is like food. Not everyone gets it. Don't you have to show damages to prove defamation? At trial, yes. You would have to. Well, you don't have to do that to prove defamation necessarily. Defamation per se implies damages. But for anything beyond statutory or whatever it's called, I don't know. It's almost 9:00 in the evening. I can't remember off the top of my head everything. I'm a little sleepy. But he would have to show damages at some point, yes. In contrast, Quest has offered evidence and can prove Rekieta made a false and defamatory statement about the plaintiff in an unprivileged publication to a third party that harmed the plaintiff's reputation in the community. Qualified privilege is overcome if the plaintiff demonstrates that the defendant made the statement with malice. Malice under the common law means the defendant made the statement from ill will or in improper motives or causally or wantonly with the purpose of injuring the plaintiff. No, you can't show that. He's saying stupid shit. Saying stupid shit does not mean that it's improper or ill will. It just means you're saying something, maybe to get a laugh out of people. Happens all the time. Nick says things about me. Do I then run and cry about it? No. Normally I just laugh about it or play along because as a fucking man, that's what you do. As somebody who does not have paper thin skin, that's what you do. You laugh along with them. Because if you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? Rekieta, the builder of the proverbial online hate factory, oozes ill will. Quest has proven Rekieta defamed him with actual malice. You haven't, though. Quest is not a limited public figure. Is he, though? Curiously, Rekieta argues in pages 24 through 26 of his memorandum, stop misgendering Nick Rekieta. He is a man. That Quest is also a public figure. However, defendant Nicholas Rekieta himself appears to suggest that Quest likely is not. On December 22nd, 2022, defendant, we're looking at this right here, with several guests stated, you're, in parentheses, Quest, dumb. Monty, you don't make any money. You're a weird, broke person on the internet. I'd love to see your damages. That doesn't say that he's not a public figure. It just means that he's a poor public figure. Poor in that he has no money. You can still be a limited purpose public figure without having money. From the objected to evidence attached to the Shepard Declaration of the few legitimate documents offered by Rekieta's lawyers, one can see how Quest attempted to stop defamation by others and stop others from using his art without authorization and inappropriately. Does the fact Quest is an artist make him a public figure? Does the fact he has been defending himself and pleading with Rekieta to stop defaming him make him a public figure? What if Quest really has over 1 million views on YouTube, as argued by Rekieta on page 24 of his memorandum? You know what? You're going to keep misgendering Nick Rekieta, but I will not. And that's unacceptable. And I think, if I was Rekieta, I would file an ethics complaint against you. If I was an asshole, I'd file an ethics complaint for you misgendering him intentionally and causing such an undue, unnecessary emotional damage to Nick. I would file an ethics complaint. The determination to be sure is a legal one and may be resolved by the court before the matter is submitted to a jury. Limited purpose public figures are those classes of public figures who have thrust themselves to the forefront of particular controversies in order to influence the resolution of the issues involved. Yes and no. I mean, he has specifically stated that he has tried to get this taken down. He has talked about it, as Nick has stated, and shown he has talked about it. He has specifically filed a lawsuit about this exact same thing previously in Colorado and lost it. you have the makings of a limited purpose public figure. He's not saying a general purpose public figure. He's not saying somebody who is known so much that, for all intents and purposes, he is a public figure no matter what he does. He's saying in this instance, because he has created the works that are being looked at, people are watching this film, making forming opinions based on what they see and what they hear, and they're talking about it, right? He's the subject of those discussions. So for the purpose of this, he would be a limited purpose public figure because it's been going on for so long. He is the topic, he is the subject. You know, he'd be a limited purpose public figure. The three factors must be present for someone to be a limited purpose public figure. One, whether a public controversy existed, and they admit that there was a public controversy in the affidavit of Steve Quest. Steve Quest says this has been happening for a while, since he made the Umbrella Man, right? It's been happening for a while. He says that other people have talked about it. Other people have said these things about him long before Nick mentioned anything. So that's met. Whether the plaintiff played a meaningful role in the controversy, he created it. He created the video. He admits that he's talked about it. He's filed lawsuits about it. So yeah, he played a meaningful role in the controversy. And three, whether the alleged defamatory statement is related to the controversy. It's related to the controversy. Again, according to Steve Quest, the exact same things have been said and talked about for a while by people outside of Nick's circle. If that's the case, then yes, the comments are related to that controversy. Oh, cool. So the blue light filter just kicked on, and I can now see the watermark for the judicial thing. I can now see it. It's so weird. Like, I can see that because it's off white, and it kind of comes through because now that blue light is gone. It's so trippy. It's really trippy. From the albeit limited record before the court, we must look for controversies that are already the subject of debate in the public arena at the time of the alleged defamation. However, that brings us back to reality. Quest's sexual proclivities, whatever they may be, were never the subject of debate in any public arena. But you say they were. Again, your client says in his affidavit they were. They were the subject of conversations on IMDb. They were the subject of conversations, I believe, in the complaint you mentioned Kiwi Farms. So if that's the case, yes, it is a subject of debate in the public space. Congratulations. Again, you fucking played yourself. To be sure, Quest was teased, cajoled, mocked, harassed, threatened, and defamed by others. Then he was defamed by Oh, you probably should have put that. Because now you're admitting that, yes, it was being talked about before Rekieta, and then Rekieta said it. But you don't show anything to show that Steve Montegraph proved that all of this was known to be defamatory. In fact, again, citing back to that lawsuit, it was dismissed against the defendant. So, again, doesn't show that anybody knows it's defamatory. In fact, you specifically say these people were involved, and yet you didn't file lawsuits against any of them. Why? You're able to say, yes, these people were involved, and yet you don't do anything to show it by filing a lawsuit for defamation and getting a judgment against them. Why? Because they didn't have a following that you could try and grift off of? Huh. Weird how that plays out. And then he was defamed by Rekieta, threatened, harassed, chased, and defamed again, but there is no evidence a debate by any character, online or otherwise, occurred at any time. We can go back to your own client's affidavit to show that that's a fucking lie. Under the so-called Gertz test, as noted by the Chifulius court, the absence of a debate means Quest cannot be adjudicated a public figure. Again, there was debate, and we can cite to your client's affidavit to show that for years before Nick said anything. Not a good look. Who is not considered a public figure, at least in Minnesota, may be surprising. For instance, in McGuire v. Bolin, McGuire, the girls' head basketball coach at Woodbury High School, became the victim of defamation by the parents of certain players who accused McGuire of swearing at practice. That's not defamatory. Touching female minor players inappropriately, that's defamatory. And flirting with players. I mean, that's probably illegal and defamatory. His contract was not renewed, and he discontinued coaching the team. However, certain individuals continued defaming him. In defense to the litigation brought against him by McGuire, the defense claimed he was a limited-purpose public figure. After all, a high school basketball coach determines who plays, blah, blah, blah. Coaches are active in recruitment, practices, and scheduling games. They are ever present in the gym and are the face of the basketball program, often for many years at a time. The coach will be interviewed often after every single game by local newspapers. They will be quoted on school websites. If they are successful, they will be honored and even revered. Thus, a basketball coach certainly thrusts themselves to the forefront of controversies in order to influence resolution of the issues involved, a standard articulated in Gertz. Despite the obvious public persona attributable to McGuire, the Minnesota Supreme Court, overruling the Court of Appeals and District Court on this issue, held, "We are unable to discern any public controversy here. Although controversy ensued after respondents made the alleged defamatory statements about McGuire, that controversy could not serve as a basis for concluding that McGuire is a limited-purpose public figure. As Chifulius makes clear, a party cannot stir up controversy by making defamatory statements and then point to the resulting controversy as a basis for assigning the defamed party public figure status." Okay. That would be good if Rekieta had done the exact same thing. He didn't. This was being talked about long before Rekieta did. Your own lawsuit that you filed in Colorado shows that. This isn't the same. This is not an apples for apples comparison. It's not even apples and oranges comparison. If a girls' high school basketball coach accused of sexual misconduct is not a public figure, then it is difficult to imagine how Quest can be a public figure. Each have been accused of sexual misdeeds with children and neither charged or convicted. Sauce that's good for the goose is good for the gander. The court should rule Quest is not a limited purpose public figure. Again, the question arises before Nick even says his first comment about him. So the question then becomes, was it before or after? The record, as shown by the plaintiff in this case, shows that all this is being talked about before Nick said one fucking thing about him. Again, not apples to apples comparison. Plaintiff has not pled a SLAPP case. Anti-SLAPP laws in Minnesota are unconstitutional. This Colorado law cannot apply to this defamation case. Rekieta seeks to apply Colorado's anti-SLAPP statute, presumably to change the rules and make Quest's case more difficult to present it to a jury. Without comparing Quest's case to those of typical SLAPP lawsuits, Rekieta begins his memorandum with a dive into the anti-SLAPP antidote to the SLAPP problem. Quest claims against Rekieta are not the basis of a SLAPP lawsuit, hence, application of so-called anti-SLAPP statutes or case holdings is inappropriate. What is a SLAPP? That's what five fingers say to the face. Rekieta's brief and motion appears premised on facts, not in evidence, that are likely routinely litigated in matters where the general public has an interest. Think cases concerning logging, mining, protecting natural resources, access to clinics, etc., where many people become upset. SLAPP is an acronym for a strategic lawsuit against public participation. The term was coined in the 1980s by two University of Denver professors, George Pring and Penelope Cannon, who co-authored SLAPPs, getting sued for speaking out. At its most basic definition, a SLAPP suit is a civil complaint or counterclaim filed against people or organizations who speak out on issues of public interest or concern. A SLAPP suit initiated with the goal of stopping citizens from exercising their political rights or to punish them for having done so. Okay. According to Pring and Cannon, who conducted the first nationwide study of SLAPPs, SLAPP lawsuits have worked to chill present and future political involvement, both of the targets of SLAPPs and of others in the community who have worked to assure that those citizens never again participate freely and confidently in the public issues and governance of their own town, state, or country. Hmm. Okay, let's see where they go with this. See where they go with this. This isn't a slap case, no anti-slap if no slap. Quest pled in his original complaint and amended complaint that Rekieta is free to engage in protected First Amendment speech, and Quest does not seek restraint, except he does seek restraint. Further, Rekieta may continue analyzing lawsuits and legal issues and chatting about them, and Quest does not seek to stop Rekieta from speaking on matters of public interest or concern. Quest is a private individual affiliated with no company, cause, or concern. He's not affiliated with a company? Really? But he says he is. Just because he doesn't name the company, he still says he is affiliated with a company. So that doesn't work. Quest simply requests Rekieta to discontinue maliciously defaming him and causing harm. When is a matter public or private for purposes of analysis? From Chafulius v. Peterson, a public controversy is a dispute that has received public attention because its ramifications will be felt by persons who are not direct participants. Private concerns are not public controversies simply because they attract attention. In isolating the public controversy, courts look to those controversies that are already the subject of debate in the public arena at the time of the alleged defamation. Rekieta argues that somehow the world should care about Quest specifically. The world should know Quest is a pedophile and guilty of crimes, perhaps even Minnesota Statute 609344, subsections 1, Charlie, and 2, and or Colorado's equivalent statute, that he is a, quote, fucking faggot, that he fists himself, that he excuse me, that he created a snuff film, etc., without first establishing how he knows these allegations to be true, or how these alleged crimes and perverse acts somehow relate to matters we, the public, should show interest in or have concern. Rekieta's position is inconsistent with well-settled law from all over the United States, as recited by the Chafulius court. Really? You going to cite to any of them? Going to cite to any of them? Because I think him being a danger to farmers markets, specifically the produce located in them, might be a cause for concern. If Quest really were a pedophile, that he sexually abused children, Rekieta could argue evidence of the prosecution and conviction should be made public, because Quest, if out of prison, would be a registered sex offender as required by Minnesota law, and we should keep our children away from him. Except, other states might not require that to be for some fucking reason. I mean, there's a guy who in fucking Minnesota, who raped 2 girls under the age of 14 and is not required to be on the sex. You know what? I'm going to pull that one up. Okay. I am 100% fucking pulling this one up just to shoot a fucking bullet into this one. Okay. Okay. I'm going to pull this up. Let me see. Let's see. So this comes from I know there was one. Let's see. I'm literally trying to find it. Oh, I read it. I can't remember exactly where now. It was the Express. Here we go. Okay, so here it is. So, man 20 gets only 180 days in prison for raping girls aged 4 and 9. No moving on. Mohammed Bakari Shea will not have his name added to the sex offender registry despite having been convicted. And this was updated February 2nd. Okay, so this a 20-year-old man in Minnesota will only serve 180 days in jail for raping two girls aged 4 and 9. Mohammed Bakari Shea struck a plea deal with prosecutors and agreed to go to prison for less than 6 months, as well as to 200 hours of community service. Shea will also not be included in the sex offender registry, but will serve up to 30 years of probation. So, again, Minnesota not requiring this guy, who apparently is a Somali immigrant, has no bearing really, but I believe that was argued as part of the case. I could be wrong. That's what I'd seen. I could be wrong. But he's not required to show up on the sex offender registry. So, this case, that doesn't work. However, Rekieta makes no effort to connect. Excuse me. In an illustration of how the term non sequitur may be used, Rekieta offers Exhibit 9 evidence that Quest's brother is indeed a criminal. You can make me look at these. Is this is one, right? Yep. Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm looking up the exhibits now to kind of go over the Wyatt, you literally know I'm streaming. I'm not getting into a call with you. Seriously. All right, let me see. Let me find this motion. Let me find this motion. Or exhibit, excuse me. This exhibit? Exhibit 6, which one was the one that they say? Exhibit 9. That's exhibit 8. Exhibit 9. Okay, so coming back to here. So this is exhibit 9 from the exhibits. The family Montegraph jailbird relative is cut from the same cloth. Montegraph, aka Roy Warren Marshall, aka Steve Quest, aka Elite Rule, aka October 8th, has a brother who is in and out of jail, another criminal. Wayne Eric Marshall finds himself on the wrong side of the law, blah, blah, blah. For those of you who know of and follow Montegraph, it is obvious he's a grifter, blah, 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 capitalized, blah, blah, blah. Wayne Eric Marshall is the older brother of Roy Warren Marshall, aka Steve Quest. This guy has been in and out of jail for almost his entire adult life. Damn, he's rocking that fucking. Not a bad mustache. Not gonna lie. Oh no, that's not cool. I don't like that. Okay, so uh, let's see. Booking. Like, what is he? Like, what was he? Like accused of? I don't know what he's accused of, but yes, he is a criminal, and Montegraph admits this. Okay. But Roy Warren Marshall also has a criminal record. I just want to say that. Yes, I know. I know Wyatt. I am very much aware of this. Actually, no, he was 17. Point is he's not on the sex offender registry. It has nothing to do with anything else. Now stop. Rekieta goes to great lengths to illustrate Quest as a prolific producer of websites and video content, some of which may be perceived as obnoxious. It is. Without first describing how such content rises to the level of public interest or concern, without first verifying obnoxious content was actually created by Quest as opposed to other individuals, or without first verifying the allegedly obnoxious content really is what others have purported it to be. Rekieta's exhibits offered through the Shepard Declaration, hearsay at best, unfairly prejudicial at worst, display an array of actors and commentators and an array of subjects. No, what it does is show that there was conversation about this beforehand. And if there was conversation about this beforehand, then it throws in the face the claim that there was no conversation up until Rekieta started talking shit about him in 2019. But again, your own client states that this was happening before that. Rekieta's exhibits offered through the again, no effort is made to show why we, the public, should care. I mean, doesn't the public care about terrible fucking movies? I'm just saying, terrible fucking movies are something the public cares about and loves deriding and making fun of. That's how it is. Him showing himself fucking a honeydew melon or making out with it or finger fucking it, it's something to laugh at. Something to make jokes about. It's weird. It's weird. We laugh about shit like that. Happens all the fucking time. It's weird. We laugh about it because it's fucking weird. Rekieta goes, Rekieta's exhibits offered through the Shepard, The answer is patent. It does not, except it's weird, and we're making fun of a weirdo. So what is a SLAPP lawsuit, at least according to courts in Minnesota? Pursuant to the court in Leindecker v. Asian Women United of Minnesota, Stop Asian Hate, they are lawsuits that interfere with citizens and organizations exercising their rights of public participation in government. SLAPP suits, which are generally filed in order to use litigation to intimidate opponents' exercise of rights of petitioning and speech, even when, as is often the case, the party filing the suit does not care whether it actually prevails. To deter vexatious litigation and protect participation rights in government, Minnesota's anti-SLAPP statute, which is unconstitutional as of 2016, include both a grant of immunity and various procedural provisions. The grant of immunity is found in the blah, blah, blah. Typically, anti-SLAPP statutes protect the exercise of two types of public participation rights, the right to free speech and the right to petition the government. As correctly noted by Rekieta, in a 2016 Minnesota Court of Appeals decision, Minnesota's anti-SLAPP statute was found to be unconstitutional because it deprives the non-moving party of the right to a jury trial by requiring a court to make pretrial factual findings to determine whether the moving party is immune from liability. Further, in Leindecker v. Asian Women United of Minnesota, the case is referred to herein as Leindecker 2017, given the number of other reported cases bearing the same title. The Minnesota Supreme Court also ruled that the law was unconstitutional when it requires a district court to make a pretrial finding that speech or conduct is not tortious. Needless to say, from these important cases, it would appear anything which tends to interfere with the right of an aggrieved victim of defamation's attempt to submit the complaint to a finder of fact is unconstitutional in the state of Minnesota, anti-SLAPP or otherwise. Further, Quest's case against Rekieta is not a SLAPP case in need of application of an anti-SLAPP law. Rekieta's motion is misguided. So what they're saying is Minnesota's appeals court doesn't actually say, the Supreme Court also ruled it. So Minnesota's Supreme Court ruled that the anti-SLAPP statute was unconstitutional because it prevents the person bringing the lawsuit, the non-moving party, the plaintiff. It makes a decision before any trial or before a jury or a finder of fact can make a determination if there is a case. Kind of the point of it. It's the purpose of an anti-SLAPP statute is to deter frivolous litigation and to stop a case where a vexatious litigant like Quest continuously files frivolous lawsuits to rack up bills for the defendant. Let's go with a case that I've talked about previously, Melinda Scott. Melinda Scott would file cases pro se and in forma pauperis, which means she didn't have to pay a single cent, making the taxpayer foot the bill for her lawsuits. And she would constantly file the lawsuits against specifically Josh Moon because he would pay for a lawyer. He was constantly having to pay out of pocket to pay for a lawyer to fight her claims, to fight her lawsuits. So he was spending money for multiple lawsuits and she was paying nothing. There was no penalty for her filing these lawsuits, but there was a penalty. The punishment was Josh having to hire an attorney and pay for an attorney multiple times. That's what an anti-SLAPP is supposed to stop. It's supposed to stop it early in order to prevent those fees, those funds, or the attorney's fees from piling up for a patently frivolous lawsuit. That's what it's supposed to be. Colorado law applied in this Minnesota defamation case is unconstitutional, unless you're forum shopping, which it certainly seems like you were. Quest pled, and Rekieta correctly noted that at least at the beginning of this lawsuit, Quest was a resident of the state of Colorado. Excuse me? Excuse me? He's a resident of the state of Colorado. However, Quest had developed significant connection also to the state of Illinois. This is where I noticed this, and this is when I went to the affidavit. During the period of time Rekieta has defamed him. Excuse me. This lawsuit began December 2022, and according to your own retard of a client, he moved to Illinois June 2nd, 2020. A year and a half before you commenced these legal proceedings. So now the lawyer is fucking lying to the court. The lawyer has now fucking lied to the court. Because you can't claim at the beginning of these proceedings that started December 13th, was it? I believe that's when Nick was served. It was December 13th, 2022. You can't say that he was a resident of fucking Colorado when your own fucking client says he lived in Illinois for 18 months prior to filing the lawsuit. So now the lawyer has lied to the court. Now, if I was the judge, I'd be looking at the lawyer and going, I'm sorry, motherfucker. Are you lying to me now? So not only is your client lying to me, but you have willingly lied to me and you're not even repentant for it. You're not even saying, I'm sorry. You just lied here about arguably the exact same thing, but now you're trying to phrase it differently. And if I was Randazza, I would hit them with that. And I would move for fucking sanctions. Are you fucking serious, Schneider? You are an absolute fucking retard for that one. You are a goddamn idiot right there. You could have gotten away with, my client lied to you. I didn't lie to you. My client lied to you. You know, it wouldn't work because, again, candor to the court, you were required to put in your pleadings that he actually lives in Illinois, not a resident of Colorado. Now, and let's make something very clear. In the fucking law, there is a difference between residence and citizenship. This is especially fucking important. for federal law, for federal case, because in order to establish jurisdiction of a federal court, you have to establish diversity of citizenship. You can have residences. For example, you could have a summer home in Massachusetts and a fucking winter home in Florida. Okay? 2 residences. However, you can only be a citizen of one of them. You can only be a citizen of one of them. Now, I know what you're going to say, but he says he was a resident of Colorado, but he left out that he moved permanently to Illinois, which means that the residence in Illinois is the one that fucking matters. And now they're trying to say yes, even though, Monty even admits this. I continue to carry a Colorado driver's license, which does not expire until 2024, and I've not notified the state of Illinois and now live in Illinois. I did not believe my actual residence was important for the lawsuit I filed against defendants until I was notified by my lawyer the defendants have made it an issue as part of their motion to dismiss. Monty is admitting that his permanent residence was in Illinois when he filed the lawsuit. Monty has now said that his residence is Illinois and was Illinois at the commencement of this fucking lawsuit. So that one won't work. Because now the plaintiff is admitting it. Oh no. Oh no. How could this be? Wait, so he's saying he's been an Illinois resident for the past 18 months? Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, how could this be? How could he do this? I forgot how long, but there's a period that you are supposed to change your license, etc. I believe it's state to state, but I think the average is like 6 months. And if you don't, oh boy, I know that whenever you move, you have a month to update the DMV with your new address. That's pretty much universal. That's pretty much a universal thing. I know in Massachusetts, you have to do it within a month or you're going to be in you won't really be in a lot of trouble. But if you get pulled over, the police are going to be upset about that and you're probably going to be cited. But now it's coming back to bite them in the ass. And they're like, oh, well, I haven't lived in Colorado in 18 months. I'm sorry, what? I'm fucking sorry, what? Quest has resided in Illinois since 2020. Oh, excuse me. I have to go back. In his complaint, amended complaint, Quest stated he had also lived in Illinois. Okay, hold on. Let's go to the complaint. Let me pull that up. Let me see this. I want to make sure. No. Did he? Are we gonna see that? Well, let's look this up, shall we? The plaintiff. This comes from the amended complaint, which is the one that is operative. The plaintiff, Steve Quest, is an entertainer, artist, and video producer who resides in the state of Colorado. Historically, Steve Quest used the name Montography as a trade name for the services he offered and videos he creates. At all times relevant, Steve Quest also uses the name Montograph and Monty, derived from the name Montography, as well as October Reigns, as trade names and later as online screen names for video and computer productions. Really? He says he lived in Illinois at some point? Really? Where? Where does he say that? He says he resides in the state of Colorado. Let's keep going. No, he doesn't mention anything about Illinois. In fact, man, that doesn't appear in the complaint. Hold on, Oh, that's because apparently my PDF reader is like, yeah, I'm not going to look at literally anything, I guess, because it's not actually. Okay, hang on. But I'm not seeing anything about Illinois. You know what? Let's go to the original complaint. Let's I think this is the let's go to the default judgment really quick. Let's see. Introduction. Plaintiff retained counsel. Defendant offers legal opinions. At all times during these videos, live streams, defendant will discuss blah, blah, blah. In recent years, plaintiff Steve Quest, a Colorado-based artist and video producer, became the object of defendant's scorn and contempt. Plaintiff appears in videos, blah, blah, blah. Plaintiff became aware, yada, yada, yada. Again, not noticing anything in here about Illinois. And I read through this. Oh, no. I'm not seeing anything about Illinois in here. Okay, so we got those going. Okay. Let's go to the original complaint. Let's see if Illinois is mentioned. Some of the complaints. All right, here we are. Here's the original complaint. The plaintiff, Steve Quest, is an entertainer, artist, and video producer who resides in the state of Colorado. Historically, Steve Quest used the name Ontography as a trade name for the services he offered and videos he created. At all times relevant, Steve Quest also used the name Montograph and Monty, derived from the name Ontography, as well as October Rains as trade names and later as online screen names for video and computer productions. So again, where's Illinois? Where's Illinois? Couldn't help but notice there doesn't appear be any mention of Illinois. You know what? Let's really quickly, let's bring up the amended complaint again. Let's just make sure on something. Maybe he mentioned Illinois. Let's see. I'm just gonna look through here. No, I'm not seeing anything about Illinois. I'm not seeing anything about Illinois here. All right, let's go back to the amended complaint. Let's go back to it. Okay, we're gonna come back here. Maybe he mentions Illinois when he talks about how he was harassed. Plaintiff hereby amends the complaint originally served upon defendants and states the defendant's false means blah, blah, blah. Come to his home, follow him in vehicles. Oh, look, nothing about Illinois. Oh, no. Has he lied again? Oh, no. Oh, no. Illegal documents should always be double-spaced like Rekieta's was. So annoying. Yeah. I mean, this is double-spaced. This is double-spaced. Okay, this obviously was not. This was not. The complaint was not. The amended complaint was not. But this memorandum is. He's learning. But oh man, he lied again. Ooh. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, now you think the judge might be a little more pissed? You think the judge might absolutely be livid? Rekieta speaks extensively how Quest has no connection to Minnesota. No known connection to Minnesota because Quest didn't mention anything about Minnesota in his complaint. It's a logical conclusion. Quest uses computer servers which are based in the state of Minnesota. Okay, cool. Servers can be located anywhere. That doesn't mean you have a connection to the state. When I was using survival servers, I think it was, for my ARC server, I think that's located in California. But that doesn't mean that I have a connection to California other than that. That just means that's where the server is physically located. That's where the IT guys are. It doesn't mean that I personally have a connection to California. Just because I run, this YouTube channel might be going through New York or California servers. Doesn't mean I have a connection to California or New York. Now, the terms of service say I have a connection to California, but even then, that's fucking disputable. That's fucking disputable. So that doesn't work. So Nick was technically correct. That was technically correct. Quest is required to pay a monthly cost to access those servers. Doesn't mean he has a connection to Minnesota. So in fact, Quest has a business connection to the state. He has a business connection to the state of Minnesota, but I thought he doesn't represent any businesses. Finally, while Rekieta is sitting in his Spicer, Minnesota-based recording studio defaming Quest, and Quest responds during chats or super chats to Rekieta, that communication certainly involves Minnesota. I mean, yeah, I guess you can make that argument. I'll grant you that. Quest's substantial contacts connects Connections or contacts, either one works. I'm going to go with connections so I don't lose a fucking brain cell again. To 3 states, Minnesota, Illinois, and Colorado. In fairness to Rekieta, because no discovery has been conducted, Rekieta did not know Quest had moved to Illinois because it was your fucking job to update the court, to give the court the truth about the location of your fucking client. You are required to tell the court where your client lives in the complaint. That's why you have to say that. Where does your client reside? Especially in federal court. Oh, if this was in federal court, oh, you would be kicked in the dick for this. And this judge, I really hope, after that bullshit where you say, yeah, he contacted me to get an extension and I fucking ignored him. And then you pulled this bullshit. Oh, the judge better fucking sanction you. Oh, the judge better fucking kick you in the dick, you pretentious fucking bitch. I can't believe you are going to play stupid here. You've been practicing law for how long, Schneider? And you're going to pull shit like this? Oh, fucking shit. I hope Randazza hits you hard. You had 3 chances to tell the court where your client lives. And you're only bringing it up now. Because they want to cite to law in that state. But he hasn't lived there. At present, Quest does not reside in Colorado, but resides in Illinois. You are an absolute fucking mongrel. See, when people talk about shit lawyers, shyster lawyers, ambulance chasers, this is the shit they talk about. This is not quality lawyering. This is not a fucking oopsie doodle, Roscoe. This is straight up lying to the fucking court. This is an ethics issue. This is shit that should be sanctioned. And not a simple sanction, because this happened for over a month in 3 different motions. It only came to light because of this. Only came to light because of the motion to dismiss. This lawyer needs to be fucking sanctioned. I would say that about, by the way, if Rekieta did this, okay, if Rekieta did this, I would say Rekieta needs to be sanctioned as well. I have been very fair in my criticism. I am very fucking fair. I call out bullshit when I see it. I got into shit with people on Rekieta's server for publicly stating that I disagreed with Rekieta on getting a PPP loan because Rekieta previously said during a live chat Wednesday that if you don't need a PPP loan, you shouldn't take it. And then he went out and he got a PPP loan. And I publicly stated I don't like that hypocrisy. And you know what Rekieta's response was? Thank you for being consistent and thank you for being fair. He doesn't remember saying it. He wanted me to see if I get a record of it, right? He wanted to see if I get a record of it. I couldn't find a recording. I thought somebody recorded it. Apparently they didn't. But I've been fair and consistent in my statements and in what I say. Nick knows that. Nick knows that if he did something like this, I would lambaste him and I would say, you know what, Nick, you need to be sanctioned. Randazza needs to be sanctioned. Sorry, that's just how it is. Being consistent. So it looks like your client was forum shopping. Which is why the Colorado law should be applied. Basically what is being said. The Colorado law Rekieta seeks to apply in the case of Barr will most certainly be deemed unconstitutional given the mobile diagnostics, imaging, and Lane Decker 27 decisions, regardless of where Quest resides. What is the basis for applying the law from another state to apply to cases in Minnesota? Rekieta's special motion requires analysis of the laws of other states. An individual's interest in his reputation is a basic concern, but its reflection in the laws of defamation is solely a matter of state law. A state can limit, modify, or perhaps take away a cause of action for defamation through the operation of testimony or of privileges, absent any claim of constitutional deprivation. The existence of a judicial remedy for injury to reputation is thus purely a matter of state law. Yes, it is. And since Quest claims to have suffered the most damage in Colorado, where he resided, according to his own fucking complaint, then Colorado law would be applicable. It should take priority. They should be looking at it going, you know what, maybe this law applies. Defamation actions involving private plaintiffs and private issues must be analyzed under state common law principles. At least according to the law of the state of Colorado, in defamation cases, the state with the most significant relationship is usually the state of the plaintiff's domicile. A dictionary definition of the word domicile is where the person lives in and has a substantial connection with. Okay. In fairness, Quest's home after June 2020 is in Illinois, but he formerly lived in Colorado, where Rekieta began defaming him, likely in 2019. Then why didn't he bring anything in 2019? He brought in 2022, 3 years later. And he's lived in Illinois for 18 of those months. And Quest still has connections with Colorado, his mailbox and counselor, immaterial. His residence is in Illinois, not Colorado like you told the court. However, Quest also has and has always had business connection to Minnesota. So which state's law should apply here? Colorado's, because that's where he said he lived. Again, you're forum shopping. To be fair, though, if he filed the lawsuit in Colorado, Nick would have moved to dismiss it because he's never had any conversation with Colorado, right? Although there's a case to be made that because Nick knows he lives in Colorado, the damage in Colorado, he directed comments to Quest, who he knows lives in Colorado. You can make that argument. But at least if he did that, if he brought the lawsuit in Colorado, had it dismissed there, refiled it in Minnesota, he couldn't be forum shopping. He would have been told by the Colorado court, this is the improper jurisdiction. It's dismissed because of a lack of jurisdiction. He could then go to the court in Minnesota, and Nick would not be able to do this because the entire premise would be shot to shit, because Nick can't then turn around, have his cake and eat it too, and say, well, the majority of the damage is in Colorado. He can't file the lawsuit here because Quest turns around and goes, he filed in Colorado, or I filed it in Colorado. He moved to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction. The court agreed. I have to refile in Minnesota. You can't have your cake and eat it too. That's what would have happened. But he didn't fucking do that. He specifically filed it in Minnesota. So because he didn't take that first crucial step of filing it in Colorado and getting a court to dismiss it for lack of jurisdiction, he's fucked there. So the case is now being made, I would argue rightfully, that Colorado law is operative here because of Quest's decisions. Now he's saying he actually didn't live in Colorado. He doesn't reside in Colorado, so Colorado law cannot apply. Even if the court determines that, yes, while it's unconstitutional, the decision by Quest to file in Minnesota was a calculated decision, essentially forum shopping, Colorado law cannot be ignored. And now they want to say he doesn't live in Colorado, he lives in Illinois. Here's a question. Will they get a second kick at the apple? A second kick at the cat? I mixed two metaphors. Do they get a second bite at the apple? If the judge rules against Nick, I would argue it does. Because now he's lied materially for over a fucking month through motions. And it didn't come to light until this motion to dismiss. And you can't say, well, discovery wasn't done. Discovery wasn't done. So, it's understandable that he didn't know he lives in Illinois now. Discovery wasn't done. No, but you put to the court, you told the court he lives in a state he doesn't live in. Oh, that's not a good thing. And I guarantee you, Rekieta and Rekieta are going to hammer that. I will not be surprised if by the end of the week you see a motion for sanctions. I will not be surprised. Congratulations, retard. You played yourself. In Questel's connections with Colorado. So, which standing alone, at least one state, New York, has determined the plaintiff's residence, whether it be in Colorado or Illinois, is not enough to determine the choice of law in a defamation case. Again, unless there's forum shopping. And with these admissions, congratulations. Congratulations, retard. You just admitted to the court. You lied. Intentionally lied. Hid the fact you were fucking lying. Good job, retard. If the judge does not sanction them, if the judge does not kick them in the fucking dick at this point, I don't know what to say. In defamation cases, strong policy reasons exist for deciding issues whose major impact on the behavior of potential defendants according to the rules of the jurisdiction. By the way, I just want to go back here. Determine the plaintiff's residence is not enough to determine the choice of law in a defamation case. You're right. It's not necessarily. However, the question is, where's the most damage felt? Arguably, the law of the state where the plaintiff resides would take precedence because that's where the most damage is. In defamation cases, strong policy reasons exist for deciding issues whose major impact on the behavior of potential defendants according to the rules of the jurisdiction where the conduct that gives rise to liability takes place, especially when that conduct may be protected speech. However, a law analogous to the Colorado law sought to be employed by Rekieta, a statute with the Minnesota Supreme Court declared not just the law unconstitutional, but also the effect. To be sure, Minnesota statute and the Colorado statute are written differently and are not synonymous. Oh, really? But the unconstitutional effect is the same. Again, it may be unconstitutional according to Minnesota. However, if there's forum shopping, which there seems to be, and you've admitted to having lied, guess what? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You absolute fucking mongoloid. Future enforcement efforts of an unconstitutional law will invariably lead to an aggrieved person harmed by that action to challenge the government's action. In practical terms, when the government and Minnesota courts should not be an apostrophe. Face laws that are on their face unconstitutional, they will and should act as though the law does not exist. Quest encourages this court to do the same. I've already hammered home forum shopping. Quest recognizes the choice of law issue is relevant given the fact there is at least some connection to Colorado And the court should be aware of the way Minnesota courts have dealt with those issues has changed over time. An excellent recitation of the history of the evolution of how Minnesota courts handle such situations is found in State versus Castillo-Alvarez. There, a criminal defendant from Iowa escaped to Mexico. He was arrested, interviewed, and recorded, tried, and convicted in Iowa. Later, his convictions were overturned on appeal. Why? Why were they overturned? 5 months after the defendant was charged by the Jackson County attorney in the state of Minnesota, the defendant sought to suppress his recorded statement. He was tried and convicted and sentenced to prison. On appeal, the issue of the admissibility of the recorded statement by both federal and Iowa law enforcement officials violated Minnesota's law regarding electronic recording at custodial interrogations was raised. The court then proceeded to review the 3 different choices of law approaches to resolve issues relating to the admission of evidence collected in other states. Citing State v. Heaney, I'm assuming it's Heaney, the court described the 3 approaches as traditional choice law, exclusionary rule, and most significant relationships. Settling upon the significant relationship rule, at least for the facts of the case, the court held, under the significant relationship test, the law of the state with the most significant relationship to the evidence controls, even if it conflicts with the law of the forum, unless applying the law of the state with the most significant relationship would be contrary to a strong public policy in the forum. In the case of Barr, Minnesota courts have very clearly stated that laws are unconstitutional when they require a district court to make a pretrial finding that speech or conduct is not tortious. Query: if we apply any statute which, in operation, does what mobile diagnostic imaging and Lane Decker prohibit, namely require this court to make an unconstitutional pretrial determination, is that not under the significant relationship test contrary to a strong public policy in Minnesota? Undoubtedly, the answer is in the affirmative. Again, unless forum shopping happens, which it has, and 2, in this case, I don't want to phrase it. I don't even know how I want to really phrase it. I would argue that in the case at Barr, the plaintiff had a chance to file in Colorado, refused to do so. Instead, filed in Minnesota without considering Colorado or Illinois. And because of that decision, here, the plaintiff has forum shopped. He's decided that Minnesota makes a stronger case for them to be able to win their case. No anti-SLAPP statute, which is encouraging other plaintiffs, if this goes through, to then ignore California, Massachusetts, for example. California, Massachusetts have very robust laws, anti-SLAPP laws. If I wanted to file a case against Rekieta, in theory, in state court, I face a problem of a lack of jurisdiction. I know that. Right? But I decided to forego it. Unfortunately, here I am. I would have to file in Massachusetts, go through the entire rigmarole, have it dismissed for lack of jurisdiction, and then go to Minnesota and file there. Right? Assuming that, because they would use the anti-SLAPP against me. I know that and whatnot. But let's say that I pass that, they file a motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction, or they filed that along with the anti-SLAPP, and it's dismissed for lack of jurisdiction. I then go to Minnesota. You can't then turn around and say, try and claim that Massachusetts law is operative because this is where I live. They already did that and failed. But they got lack of jurisdiction. So if they get lack of jurisdiction, Minnesota is the proper jurisdiction, and the Massachusetts court has already ruled that that's the proper jurisdiction. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't claim Massachusetts is improper jurisdiction because he has no contacts in Massachusetts. Okay. Then you turn around and try and say Minnesota's the doesn't have jurisdiction because he lives in Massachusetts. That's where the majority of the damage is done. It doesn't work like that. It can't work like that. It would be a fucking catch-22. I'm not posting. I'm not wrenching random people. I'm sorry, Roscoe. I don't wrench random people. I think I have like 3 wrenches and that's it. That's because I interact with them like pretty much every day. In this case, again, had he filed in Colorado, it was dismissed for lack of jurisdiction. He then filed in Minnesota. This would have to go forward without the anti-SLAPP statute defense. Because Minnesota, or he tried in Colorado and they said that it was improper jurisdiction. You can't then say, improper jurisdiction. Now I want to bring that improper jurisdiction's laws that protect me over to Minnesota. Can't have your cake and eat it too. Undoubtedly, the answer is in the affirmative. The court should refuse to apply Colorado law in the case of Barr under the significant relationship test discussed in Castillo-Alvarez. Rekieta's actions cause emotional distress. Done so intentionally or negligently will be proven in discovery. Quest's claim for negligent infliction of emotional distress is supported by evidence. Dude. Monty's lawyer is a giant douche. Yes. He paid multiple times for the super lawyer status. Yeah, I'm not. No. Okay, 30 days, and he's an Illinois resident. So that means that for the past 17 months, he's been breaking the law. I figured. Sorry about messaging you during the call. Oh, okay. He was just trying to make sure the record was accurate. You were aware that at the time he wasn't 20. Oh, I was aware, Wyatt. I was very much aware he wasn't 20. It was originally, I believe he was like 16 or 17 when he did it. He still raped an 18 or an 8 and 14-year-old. I just want to say that. But he had been brought up in juvenile court because he was a juvenile at the time. And then for like a plea deal to drop some of the charges, he would move up to adult court. And then he took an Alfred plea, a no contest, essentially. Oh, yeah. No, feet first into the wood chipper. Make him feel it. A claim for negligent infliction of emotional distress requires a party to prove 3 additional elements. That the party, 1, was within the zone of danger or physical impact created by the defendant's negligence. 2, reasonably feared for her own safety. Oh, have we been misgendering Steve this entire time? And consequently suffered severe emotional distress with attendant physical manifestations. However, a party who establishes a claim for defamation need not prove the zone of danger element. Okay, fine. Only reasonably feared for their safety and consequently suffered emotional stress. Okay. When Quest was being threatened by Rekieta's devotees and followed around Denver and being stalked, I thought he lived in Illinois. You know what? Now I'm reading something. Now I'm reading something a little differently. Okay. Now I'm kind of reading something differently. They don't put a time frame in this. This is the amended complaint. Plaintiff hereby amends the complaint originally served upon defendants and states the defendant's false, mean-spirited, hurtful words published to others have caused followers and devotees of the defendants to search for, find, then stalk plaintiff, come to his home, follow him in vehicles as plaintiff drove a motor vehicle, then to publish pictures and videos of plaintiff while driving. All of this happened before the lawsuit. All of this happened in 2019, allegedly, right? He's trying to obfuscate the dates. He's trying to obfuscate the dates. He's making this sound like it happened right now, right? He's trying to make it sound like it happened after after October of 2022. Except, I think this is the affidavit. Except, if you look at it, and I know this is sideways, I can't help it. I'm sorry, but notice the date that is put up: May 24th, fucking 2020. Oh! So in theory, this happened past the statute of limitations. You can't bring this fucking up. This has no bearing on a damn thing. This happened before anything related to the most recent stuff that you're alleging. Because again, if we come to this, what is the first date that they cite? October 6th, 2022 is the first date the site a defamatory statement was made. October 6, 2022 is the date they first mentioned. Now, I'm not sure if you can do math like I can, but 2020 comes before 2022. Rendaza, Nick, move for some serious fucking sanctions. Because Jesus fucking Christ, they are lying and they are obfuscating. There is no candor to the court at this point. They've lied about where he lives. They've lied about the fact they have intentionally hidden the fact that he lives in Illinois when they said that in the complaint, in the amended complaint, he stated he previously lived in Illinois, except Illinois does not appear to have been fucking mentioned at all. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm looking at the amended complaint. Here's an amendment, right? Here's amended. No fucking mention of him living in Illinois. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. When Quest was being threatened by Rekieta's devotees, blah, 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 and followed around Denver, Quest was afraid and certainly within the zone of danger of physical impact following Rekieta's defamatory statements, which all would have been before this, which all would have been in 2019 and 2020. I wonder. Excuse me. The statute of limitations for defamation claims in Minnesota is 2 years from the first publication. 2 years. This no longer fucking matters. It can't matter. May 24th, 2022, that means that he had until May 24th, or 2020, he had until May 24th, 2022 to use this. Actually, 2021. I think in November 2021, because the first defamation occurred in 2021, or 2019, excuse me. Dates are hard. This no longer fucking matters. It should be struck from the record. It should be absolutely fucking struck. Coming up to here, this one, May 12th, 2020. For those keeping track, May 12th is before May 24th. May 20th, 2020, again, before May 24th. Oh. Now you got a problem. Now you got a fucking problem, retard. That should be struck. Further, Quest sought care in 2019 and 2020 when it would have mattered if you had filed the lawsuit within the statute of limitations. He's currently treating with care providers and will offer evidence that he suffered severe emotional distress with attendant physical manifestations. I hope all of it comes from the first dates. First day. Because you can't go anything before that. Because there's a whole statute of limitations thing. Right? You can't. and will offer evidence that he suffered severe emotional distress. The person that posted that YouTube video, channel name is Chinata3, was slandered by Steve Quest 2019-2020, and I believe that is why he posted video and pics of Steve's vehicle. I mean, I believe it. Steve has no problem defaming other people, but then gets really upset when you say stuff about him. By the way, sure you can tell, I have sunk an inch or two. So, can't wait to get rid of this chair tomorrow. Query. Is Rekieta, why is he doing this? Like, let's ask the court questions. Don't ask the court questions. Is Rekieta asking the court to dismiss Quest's case now before Rule 26 disclosures, before written discovery, and before depositions because Rekieta knows the harm caused to Quest is recent? Really? It's recent? Again, apparently it isn't. It's outside the statute of limitations. I'm shrinking to Ralphite. It is not true. Not true. Not true. Really makes you fucking think, doesn't it? Really makes you fucking think. If so, such a stance would seem to be inconsistent with the anticipated scheduling order, which has yet to be developed, and palpably unfair. At the summary judgment stage of the proceedings, evidence is viewed in light most favorable to the non-moving party and resolve all doubts if factual inferences should be resolved against the moving party. Quest suggests to the court that this issue is not yet ripe for adjudication. Yeah, except you keep lying to the court. Quest's claim against Rekieta for intentionally causing emotional distress should also survive summary judgment. Minnesota first recognized the independent tort of intentional infliction of emotional distress, blah, blah, blah. Intentional infliction requires 4 distinct elements. The conduct must be extreme and outrageous. The conduct must be intentional or reckless. It must cause emotional distress, and the distress must be severe. Intentional infliction of emotional distress cases are sharply limited to cases involving particularly egregious facts, in that a high threshold standard of proof is required to submit the claim to a jury. In examining the record and what we know about Rekieta, Rekieta's conduct must be adjudged extreme and outrageous when it is so atrocious that it passes the boundaries of decency and is utterly intolerable to the civilized community, except nothing he has done is so extreme and outrageous. Calling your client names is not outrageous or extreme. Liability for intentional infliction of emotional distress does not extend to insults, indignities, threats, annoyances, petty oppressions, or other trivialities. To qualify as extreme and outrageous, the conduct must lead an average member of the community to exclaim, outrageous. So your wife said outrageous? Hey, honey, can you say outrageous after watching this? Outrageous. Oh, where we got intentional infliction of emotional distress. Hey, law partner, could you say outrageous so that I can get your quote in here? Sure, outrageous. Well, there we go. Hey, paralegal lady, if you don't say outrageous, I'm firing you. Outrageous. Oh, well, there we go. Again, Rekieta stated and routinely admits many obnoxious, cruel, and mean-spirited things to which the common response is outrageous, directed at Quest. No, it's generally laughs because we all know it's jokes. Perhaps what Rekieta is really telling the court is that Quest and his lawyer, your author herein, his lawyer's entire office staff, and his lawyer's wife, and the wife's boyfriend, who has watched Rekieta's shows and have yelled outrageous, are all simply prudish churchgoers who should stop being so sensitive. Also, yes. Perhaps Rekieta, as part of his newly minted online hate factory, wants the world to forget about societal norms and do as he does. You're trying to sound smart and you're not sounding smart. Namely, swear, mock, tease, taunt, slander, libel, complain. Then, when the world is officially agreed, we should stand by smiling as Rekieta devotees descend upon us with threats and stalking. Schneider, you're an absolute fucking retard. This started out strong, and then it's like you were just drinking more than Nick does, which, by the way, get your liver checked. This is arguably worse than anything Ty Beard put in, because you have admitted that you have lied to the court, right? So you're not only just a retard, you're a fucking idiot. admitting you lied to the court. Congratulations. You should be sanctioned. If there was a loving God, you would go to forever sleep or toaster bath. If Rekieta seriously expects the court to dismiss Quest's intentional infliction of emotional distress count, surely justice demands it be based on a fully developed case. Please, Your Honor, please don't listen to them. Complete with defendant Nicholas Rekieta's deposition testimony. Like the motion to dismiss the negligent infliction, the motion is not yet ripe for adjudication. Rekieta has another channel called Sheriff of YouTube. He has hundreds of videos and many describe the abuse he suffered from Steve Quest making false claims. I believe it. I believe it. Moving for summary judgment at the beginning of a defamation case, while exciting and worthy of video creation if you're in the business of offering legal opinions on the internet, may lead to a fatal motion practice error. Really, will it though? Because I don't think this is really fatal, considering he got you to admit you lied to the court, knowingly lied to the court, I should say. You knowingly lied to the court. You did so over a period of 30 days minimum. Actually, it's closer to 2 months because I think you filed that. When was this filed? 2/7. Okay, so yeah. For over a month. Almost 2 months. For over 2 months, you have lied to the court. Knowingly lied to the court. And you are unrepentant about it. Because nowhere in any affidavit does he say, I'm sorry for not telling you, right? He kind of throws his lawyer under the bus, and there's nothing in here where he says, I'm sorry, I should have been more forthcoming. Duty of candor to the court, and congratulations. You played yourself, retard. A party should permit a case to be developed so that a record is prepared upon which a court may rule. In the case of Barr, Rekieta has offered nothing to satisfy Rule 56, and the court should deny Rekieta's motion for summary judgment. Application of Colorado law, given the status of Minnesota defamation law after 2017, is unconstitutional and requires a district court to make a pretrial finding that speech or conduct is not tortious. Hence, the court should also deny Rekieta's special motion and request that Colorado law be replied. Oh, okay, and request that Colorado law. Okay, so that should be that should all be in quotes because it makes it look like the special motion, and he's requesting Colorado law be applied. Finally, evidence of negligent infliction, blah blah blah. More evidence will be produced through discovery. The court should deny Rekieta's motion to dismiss. There you go. Not as strong. I thought it was pretty strong up until I saw up until I saw them admit, yes, he lied about where he lived. And then it all went downhill from there. And I didn't think it was going to get any fucking worse. I honestly did not expect it to get worse after that revelation. And I was pleasantly surprised. You did it. You did it. I'm so happy now. I'm incredibly happy. We were saying it was a Lolsuit. And you've made it one. Thank you. Thank you. I thought this was going to be a Lolsuit that, we get stupidity from him. I honestly did not expect him to admit to lying to the court. So that's this motion, ladies and gentlemen. That is the motion against the summary judgment. Feels fun to see a lawyer just ruin himself. I gotta say. It makes me fucking laugh at this point, ladies and gentlemen. It really do. So that's going to be it for the stream. I've been going almost 3.5 hours. I can't believe you guys, stayed. I'm going to make dinner because I didn't eat before doing this. I got a steak I got a steak. And the dog's getting a steak because it's her birthday. So she's getting a steak too. So you guys have a good one. If anything comes of this, have fun. I mean, This is going to be real fun, I think. Now it's gotten really fucking funny because now we're looking at sanctions for a lawyer. Not ethics complaints. Not ethics complaints. Although I think those will come through as well. I'm thinking sanctions. So you guys have a good one, guys. And I mean that. Have a good rest of the week. I'm Spectre. Thanks for watching.